fights dragons high, and the luna di prestatura come expose como oscura. I'm rolling up loud, pages flip like thunder. Comic book stack, got the heat, no blunder. Breaking down shows, yeah, movies get sliced. Crits on the mic like I'm rolling all dice. Lighting up green while the panels ignite. Superhero smoke, blow clouds in the night. Dungeon to the dragon, I'm the boss, that's fact. Got merch on the table, put the gold in the sack. 5150, I'm spitting reviews. TV, books, anime, drop all the news. Smash cut, fight scene, blood in the frame. Every bar hits like a boss fight game. Cinematic flow, keep the blade in the sheath. Light sparks flash, got the flame in my teeth. I curse, I rip, his channel's grown. Adult vibes only, yeah, I claim that throne. Adult vibes only, yeah, I claim that throne. En la mesa, dragones y dados. Crítico fuerte, los golpes son bravos. Humo en el aire, blunt encendido. Cultura mezclada, yo nunca me olvido. Comics y series, yo vendo mi merch. Todo el canal con la vibra de church. Luces brillando, reseñas al 100. El club explotando, lo canto también. Series y libros, reviews con poder. Películas caen, las pongo a perder. Dragones rugiendo, la mesa encendida. Dungeons and Dragons, me cambió la vida. Back to the fight, old school, new flame. Anime clash while I'm calling the game. Weed smoke rise and the neon is lit. Review every saga, I'm dropping that hit. Sword to the fist and the fist to the mic. Light up the channel, we ride every night. Adult in the booth, yeah, curse what I choose. I don't play safe, I break all the rules. Roll the dice, let the blood hit the stage. As críticos locos soltando la rage. Calling to the movie reviews on fire. El club encendido, subiendo más higher. Light it up, and the low, Breno never dies, vámonos. Light it up, and the low, Breno never dies, vámonos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back. Episode 2, Legends Behind the Lens. We're going to be discussing Season 2 Myths and Mythologies in Percy Jackson. I'm here with my co-host, Jaxson Reigns. What up, my brother?
What's up, man? What up?
What's popping? Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty, so we started a little later than usual, but we rocking. First off, what did you think about the season, brother?
I liked it. I liked the season a lot. It showed a couple of different things that were different to me than the last couple of seasons. Left a lot of things kind of foreshadowed when it came to Zeus's daughter and stuff like that, just for example. But I liked it, and the whole Sea of Monsters thing and the whole lore about that. I found it very interesting.
Well, let's start off with that since you brought it up. Zeus's daughter. What's her name? Talia, whatever.
Yeah.
First off, is there any myths that discuss, has he ever had a daughter, or is this the first time they brought up something like that?
A demigod daughter? Athena is his daughter. But
Oh, yeah, demigod. Yes, correct.
a demigod daughter, I'm not so sure. I don't think there's anything when it comes to that because Zeus was one of the parents that didn't really care about their children, and he only cared about the divine ones. So the demigod ones, he didn't really care unless they like earned themselves and stuff. So there was none, barely any that he cared about.
He cared about their moms, though, when he was getting it in. You know, he was a dirty bastard, that man Zeus.
There was, and then that's when Hera came in and said, "Guess what? I'm going to make sure that don't happen again."
Well, if I remember correctly, didn't she try to get at him first, but that didn't work out too well for her? Didn't she try to, like, chain him up or some shit like that?
Yeah, she couldn't do nothing with it physically, but so she had to go to the women that he wanted to mess with and their babies and their kin. That's how he basically she got back at him through that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, since we're talking about kids and stuff like that, let's go with the first question. Did the Greek gods actually care about their demigod children? Or is this just something Percy Jackson making them seem more compassionate than they really were in mythology?
Well, the answer to that question is yes and no. So Zeus, for example, he didn't care at all for any of his children that were demigods at all. He pretty much used them as tools to protect the throne, enforce order, and use them basically primarily for to protect his kingdom and himself as being king of Olympus. That's pretty much the only reason why he cared for them. And he really didn't care about some of the other ones too, because even the divine ones, like for example, Athena and Hermes probably were the most, I want to say, great loved by Zeus out of all of them. And he basically just he gave them probably almost everything and ignored almost all the other mortal offsprings. He loved their achievements, basically, not the children themselves. And Ares is his son, and so is Apollo. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a time where I want to say it was Ares was wounded very bad, and Zeus just openly told him that he hated him. And then when Apollo got out of line, he stripped him from his godhood and forced him to serve a mortal king. So he wasn't a good parent at all when it came to any of that. Now Poseidon and Hades are the total opposite of Zeus. Poseidon cared about anything that was his children, the Cyclopses, you know, someone, for example, like the demigods, like Percy Jackson. It didn't make a difference. He cared about them. He wanted to protect them, and that was his basically goal. He would watch them for the quests. He would set them up with weapons and all kinds of different stuff like that. Now,
You
go
mentioned
ahead.
divine children that he liked divine. So what about Hercules? Didn't Hercules become divine? But
Yeah,
Zeus
so
didn't give him no love. Hercules had a fucked up life.
Oh yeah. So Zeus didn't give anything to Hercules until he proved himself. So basically, in order to get in the love in the eyes of Zeus, you have to have accomplishments as a mortal or a demigod. If you didn't have any type of accomplishments, you were nothing to him. So he only praised the ones that gave major accomplishments. Now, Hercules was in the beginning, he didn't have any accomplishments till afterwards, and that's when he started to create Hercules and little divine weapons and stuff like that, for example.
But now, if I remember the story correctly, Hercules only got his accomplishments with the 12 labors, and didn't he get those because he like murdered his wife and kids or something like that? Wasn't that kind of his punishment for killing them?
Yeah, it was that was definitely a punishment for him doing that, but it was also he didn't do it on purpose.
No,
It
no,
was
no. Wasn't he like Hera did something to him or something like that?
yeah, he was like controlled, and he did it without it. Like she did it, like kind of like Kratos and Ares and God of War in that game. You know how they made him kind of like kill his family. It was kind of like
Hmm.
that. Yeah,
Okay, okay. You gonna move, doggy, or what? What we doing?
we still got. So if you want to, let's talk about Hades.
Go for it.
All right, so Hades as a parent was he didn't have many kids, very 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 few, and he had a daughter named Milano, and she basically was kept in the underworld and to keep her safe from the politics of Olympus. He was like a stern father. He was absolutely obedient. He rarely used his children for political pawns. He didn't abandon them to cruelty or other gods.
You would think
Now,
if anyone, it would have been him to be the
e-
cruel one, right?
exactly, for him being the underworld god and stuff, yeah, you would think, but that was not the case. And back to Poseidon, the thing with Poseidon is he was the most vengeful and protective father of the big three. Defending the children, like I was saying earlier, like it doesn't even make a difference, regardless of morality. It didn't make a difference. Like for example, when Odysseus blinded the Poseidon's son, Polytheus, Mythos, I forgot his name. He spent a decade tormenting Odysseus at sea out of pure rage. He didn't have a moral compass either, so he didn't care if his children were monsters, villains, or heroes. If they belonged to him, he claimed them and retaliated against anyone who harmed them.
You mentioned Odysseus. Didn't he like blow him off course? Something that should have took hours took years or something like that.
Yeah, he was tormenting him in the soul, making him take longer time on the sea, going to travel, sending monsters at him, all kinds of stuff.
You mentioned when you mentioned Poseidon, you mentioned Cyclops. So the
Yes,
book and the show brought in Tyson, which is Percy Jackson's brother because he's a Cyclops. But now in
yeah,
Greek mythology, they made Cyclopses to be monsters. Or did
I,
modern stories unfairly turn them into villains? Because they kind of made Tyson look like he's a hero in these stories.
yeah, they're kind of like doing their own little thing with the demigods, with the show, kind of like more positive than it actually is in the real mythology. But yeah, they are. They see the thing is with the Cyclopses are the children of Poseidon. So like whether you're a demigod or whether you're something else or pure divine like Ares or whatever, for example, they're still considered brothers or half brothers. Now they've always been like that, even in the mythology. They're always the sons of Poseidon, the Cyclopses, but they never were like malicious or to a certain extent like that. Like they made it seem like in other Cyclopses and other mythologies with the one eye, like they're kind of like ogres. They kind of like combined the ogre and a Cyclops together, but they weren't like that in the same sense as in North mythology. They switch them up a little bit, but they keep the same kind of like image, but a different archetype when it comes to the Cyclopses and stuff like that. But yeah, they're definitely related through just because he's the father of all Cyclopses.
Okay, so but are they monsters or are they like a demigod as well?
I don't think they're monsters. I consider them more like they're more of a type. So instead of being Homo sapien sapien or being a minotaur, they're just called Cyclopses. That's their name and for their description kind of thing. They're not monsters. I don't think they're monsters.
So now was it the fact because I know in Odysseus' story, the Odyssey, they
Hmm.
came across, like you said, Polyorius or whatever the Cyclops name was, who
Yeah,
guarded the fleece and all that. They did picture him as a monster, but was that because you also said that Poseidon has some issue with Odysseus? So was that why that Cyclops was kind of monster-esque? Because Pop Dukes was like, yo, finish them type of thing.
yeah. I think that could very well be it. Because I never perceived him as like a monster thing. I just think that he was just doing what he was told. Because it could be nice too, you know what I mean? Like I've seen so many depictions in mythologies where they're actually cool with people, and then they get angry like the normal people, and then they'll that's it. It's a wrap.
Okay. Um, so season two asks us to judge Tyson before we get in to know him. Is this reflecting real lessons found throughout Greek mythology about appearances being deceiving?
I believe so. I believe so because everything, all appear, and anything could be deceiving with appearances,
Or
especially for
even,
him.
yeah,
Like
okay.
in his situation, his appearance is gonna make people think all kinds of different things, and nobody really knows. And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think they really know that all the Cyclopses are Poseidon's son, like all the demigods and everybody at the camp. I don't think they know that, so I don't think they would know that they were related. But I could be wrong.
So, but Poseidon created the Cyclops as in like how he created horses, so to speak.
Yeah, he created them. Yes.
Okay, because I know in the books they mentioned that yes, they mentioned them as monsters, but they also mentioned that Poseidon had a crew of them that worked for him in the mines under the ocean type of thing. Those are his like his armorers that like they made his weapons and
Like
so to
the
speak.
blacksmiths. Yeah, yes. They were his blacksmiths.
What do you think about Clarissa or Clarice? Excuse me. Do Greek mythology reward pride and arrogance, or do they punish it? What do you know about that? Because they made her cocky as hell, the
Oh,
daughter of Ares.
yeah. Well, she's just she's something else anyway. But yeah, it does. But it's just like ugh, it's a hard conversation to have because it depends on the God you're speaking to when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Zeus doesn't take shit from nobody, and he's just not gonna do it. Hades might listen. Poseidon might listen. Athena might listen. You know what I mean? So
Let me ask you this: you mentioned Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus, as far as children and stuff like that. But there was numerous other gods. Were they other demigod children, like how the book depicted them? They might not be a camp, but were they other children like Apollo's demigod kids? Were there
yeah,
Athena
yeah,
had kids type thing?
yeah. There was a bunch of people who had kids and stuff like that. I can't remember most of their names because they were like not. I guess they didn't matter. The best way I can put it, they didn't achieve nothing. They didn't do nothing. It was let me see.
So while they might have had slight power, so to speak, they basically wasn't the big three, basically.
Right, and some of them didn't even have powers. They didn't even have powers. They were like some of them were waiting to see if they did, and they didn't, and they just ended up being like more human than anything. But only the parents knew who their father was or mother.
Uh,
Like for example, like Apollo's kids are kind of like he has fucking excuse my language. He has several, probably more than anybody. But that's why it's hard to like remember all his no, the kids of his names and stuff because most of them were like the musicians and legendary healers, all the prophets from the sun gods and stuff like that. And so there's so many of them, and then most of them I can't even pronounce their names. But there's like the god of medicine is one of them. I know Orpheus was a musician. Can't Aphrodite's she's more of an awe god and shit like that with the Aeneas and stuff like that, and McLean. But all of them really weren't. They weren't really nothing. Like they didn't amount to anything. The ones that we know of that they talk about, like Hercules and those are the ones that were like the main ones that they did not worship, but that they praised and the demigods and stuff like that. Some and not even that, but sometimes they even got in trouble.
okay.
But there's so many of them, bro. Like a lot of demigods in general, but they were just all
Well, let me ask you this
fuck.
because I know we spoke about this before. Demi gods. Why would they use their children in solving problems instead of just solving them themselves? Wouldn't that be a more, it's better to do it yourself type of thing? Because I know
Yeah,
a lot of mythologies, that's what they do. Hercules, you know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned Orpheus. They use demigods to do their things. And the book actually emphasizes that's how they enjoy, that's how they like to use their chess pieces, so to speak. What's your
right.
thoughts on that?
I think it's mostly well, I guess they all kind of do it in a way, but only Zeus does it in a malicious way, like he doesn't care about him. But I think it only appeals to like Zeus in the aspect that you're talking about, like in a bad way, because a lot of the other ones will send or talk to their kids and like especially divine ones and like or on the order of Olympus and have a role and stuff. They'll talk to them and they'll communicate and stuff like that, and everything is usually for the most part all good. But the other ones they won't like see. Zeus was a pain, bro, and he was one of the he didn't care about nobody, anybody but himself, his kids, nothing. So he was the main one that used his kids for anything. It didn't make a difference as long as it kept them in power. He would use them as tools, didn't freaking care, and it didn't make a difference. But the other ones really didn't do that. Athena didn't really even do that. Maybe they might in the show they might have depicted it, but in like mythology, she didn't. They didn't use their kids for malicious reasons. It was only the lower class ones and Zeus. Even Apollo didn't really use them for anything bad, just to teach music and stuff like that. Ares' daughter, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with her background to tell you how she was in mythology. And anyway, because I didn't pay too much attention, because to me she wasn't really a big thing either.
I actually didn't even know he had kids if you didn't talk about it now or they didn't mention it in the book because you really, like you said, you really don't hear too much about at least his children. Even though he had a big thing with the goddess of love, wasn't he smacking her behind Hepatitis's back type of thing?
Yeah, Aphrodite.
Yeah. He was clapping that on the low, so he was doing his thing. But you never really mentioned anything about kids or anything like that of his.
No, they really don't. Not with Aries.
Sorry, that's the doggy in the background wilding out. So let's talk about the golden fleece because that was a big thing this season. The golden fleece heals the tree. In mythology, why was the golden fleece considered so powerful in the first place? Where did it come from? What was going on with that?
So the golden fleece is like so it was, let's see the origin. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was created by Poseidon. So the golden fleece was created by Poseidon, and it was sent to the goddess Nephil to save her two mortal demi children, gods Pyrrhus and Hail, or I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty much the origin of it because it was man, what was it? Pure gold. What do they call the name of that? Chris Malamis or whatever. It had the ram. It was a ram on there, and I believe the mother had them engineered and fake a famine to bribe the messengers to claim basically that the gods demanded the sacrifice of Phrixus to save the kingdom. And the blade was about to fall, and the golden ram flew down from the sky, and like I think it scooped the children away, or I think it scooped the children and then flew away, or something like that. That should be the origin story of the the golden fleece.
So so the fleece was the ram, basically the ram's skin or whatever you want to call it, pelt.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it's like I think that I want to say during their escape, the ram fell off and drowned in one of in between the ocean. I want to say it's Europe and Asia, I think. And then in her honor, they named it the body of water Hellespont in modern day Dardanelles, whatever you call that thing. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I think
Okay.
Phrix is pretty sure. I'm sure he survived. And then they reached Colchis. And then I think to thank the gods, they sacrificed a ram to Zeus, and it started glowing or something like that. And then the fleece was given to the king Aetes, and then he pinned it on an oak tree and sacrificed I want to say a guard by a dragon or something like that. If I put that,
Okay. Oh, that's the dragon with the seven daughters or whatever, the seven sisters or whatever.
yeah, the sleep. I think he was. They call him the sleep dragon or the sleepness dragon, something like that.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that when they was talking about the apples, the golden apples and stuff like that.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so now Jason, because we also was talking about the Odyssey. Jason
Hmm.
and the Argonauts. He spent years searching for the golden fleece. First off, why was he searching for it? What significance did it have for him? Second off, does Percy have an easier quest than Jason did? Or is it simply just a different kind of hero's journey?
Oh man, I think they're kind of the same, but I think it is kind of like it's the same kind of like a hero's journey, but different because considering who Percy is and who Jason is. Now, Jason, man, I want to say his uncle sent them. I think Jason's uncle sent them to go retrieve the fleece, and that's when he assembled the Argonauts and stuff like that. Um, I think Hercules was one of them. Castor, uh, Pollux, and the other one I said I think was Orpheus. So I think it was those guys that included the Argonauts, and then Medea, which is the sorceress's princess, she managed to drug the dragon or something like that, and then they stole the fleece and took it back to Greece to reclaim the throne.
It's funny you mentioned Medea. Yes, people. Medea was actually a Greek mythology, not an old black lady played by Tyler Perry.
It's Tyler Perry,
Big
Mabel
facts,
Simmons.
right? Big facts, big facts. But yes, that I've always Medea was considered a witch, basically, or one of the first witches. Yes. Okay, so is Percy becoming more like Poseidon than he realizes? What personality traits does he inherit besides water powers? Like, what similarities do you see in Percy from his father?
Ugh. From I don't know. In the show,
Definitely.
I think they both have the kind of like the same. I don't even want to call it a moral code. I think they just have the same like thinking process about things. Like they're not evil like Zeus and stuff like that. They don't like want to do anything bad. They're actually just trying to help, and they kind of care about certain things, but not like everybody else who doesn't give a damn about anything.
Well, taking something what you said earlier, you said Poseidon and Hades were big into family and their kids and
Hmm.
all that. I want
Yep.
to say Percy, at least in the show, he's showing that too. To the fact that they even mentioned that that's probably his biggest weakness was showing that much love and everything. Remember, they was like, "Oh, dogs, you would get the whole quest. You throw the whole quest away over your friends, over your family, even to the detriment. You know what I'm saying, of the world. You would do that for that." He just was like, "All right, well, it is what it is. It is what it is."
No, you're
So,
right, and I was that made me think of his dad, but that also made me think of the polar opposite of Zeus when he did that. So I had a different perspective when I said that. I was like, okay, they're trying to separate those two. I wasn't really comparing him to his dad right there, but that's a good point.
all right. So Luke is one of those Apollo kids. He has basically a stick in his ass about the whole God thing. He says God's failed everyone, and that's his father, everyone. If you only looked at Greek mythology, would Luke have a point?
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think he will still have a point.
He
I
might
think
have
his
been accurate because a lot of the myths I remember, again, gods didn't do too much. It almost makes me feel like the only ones with power were actually the demigods, unless they was like horribly punishing you. Because a lot of myths, gods use their power to do that. But other than that, you didn't hear them doing too much. Or they like to play games. They'll like I've heard a lot of myths when they came down to battle this one and music like Apollo, or battle this one in seamstress like Athena. I've heard stuff like that, but you never really hear them doing positive stuff with their powers and stuff like that. You hear the demigods doing stuff like that, the good ones at least.
Yeah, a lot of the other ones didn't really leave Mount Olympus. The demigods were the most of the ones that were on Earth.
Yeah, because the gods didn't care clearly.
Right. They didn't care at all about those people. But I'm trying to think like I want to say the whole moral of his story or the symbolism they were trying to get is just like what happens when a demigod's resentments towards their parents turns into an all-out war.
Yes, and that's what Kronos seems to be using from inside that coffin. He realizes some animosity to God's ass. So even though the book makes it seem like that was a law put in place and the gods had to abide. What do you
Right.
think about that?
I think you're right about that. I think it was there to put all those laws were created by them to like control.
But do you think that was something that might have been an accurate thing in mythology? Was there laws in
Yeah.
place? That's why the
Yes.
gods wasn't involved, or that's why the gods seemed like they didn't care. It was just that was the law Zeus said, so we gotta abide. There was
Yeah.
actually a movie, I forgot the name of it. It might have been Immortalis, but Helios, which was the alleged original god of the sun,
Right.
did something to help man, and Zeus bodied him. Zeus bodied him basically. Hence, when he basically promoted Apollo, you the sun god now, type of thing.
Yep.
So clearly, that's proven, that they might be, Luke might have got it right, kind of like Thanos, kind of like Thanos.
I think he understands more than the rest do when it comes to that.
So Kronos believes the Olympians are no better than the Titans. Looking at the myths, is he completely wrong?
No, he's not wrong. They ain't no better.
So now, was he right to eat them? Because you remember the whole story started wasn't Kronos eating his kids because they were going to grow up to be fucked up.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically, yeah, in a nutshell. But yeah, he ate the kids because he was afraid one of them was going to overturn him and overrule. So he ended up eating all the kids. He was. Let me see. I'm trying to think. I want to say Gaia was his mother, and Uranus was his father. So he was like the first generation of like the Olympian gods: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. So those guys were all swallowed, and the only one that was saved was Zeus, and then he grew up and eventually rescued them from his stomach after he swallowed them.
So there was a bunch of other Kronos children
Yeah.
that they mentioned that is still part of the pantheon. Why were they allowed to stay when the rest of them was, horribly punished for this battle that took place? Because didn't Nyx stay? Isn't
Neat.
Aphrodite
Yeah.
actually Kronos' daughter? So she was still around. And I think actually if Percy Jackson was telling the truth, isn't the centaur that trained everybody, isn't he a child of Kronos as well?
I don't know.
Chiron. I think Chiron is also a child of Kronos. But the what I'm trying to say is, so you had these titans that were considered the enemy, and Zeus and his brethren went to war and eventually won. They even used, if I remember the story correctly, the 100 handers to help them win this war. But yet there was titans that he chose to keep. Why?
In the Percy Jackson lore.
Well, in mythology in general. Percy Jackson don't mention too much about that.
Yeah, because it is a little different. So the explanation of Kronos is his like psychology scars on the elder Olympians and how they treat their demigods when it comes to the Percy Jackson. But when it comes to like the actual lore of Greek mythology, I don't. I want to say, see, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I was always under the impression that he only had five kids. So I don't want to sit here and say that the Minotaur and the other ones are not, because I'm not 100% sure. I know that Kronos had, and from my memory, five children, and them children were the ones that were swallowed. I don't remember
Well,
him having any
you figure what's the name of the Echidna's husband? That was one of Kronos' kids, no?
echidna's husband. Echidna's husband.
The one that they put his name might have been Tartarus, but the one that they sent to Tartarus.
Man, I think that was. I'm telling you, I thought that was Hades. I only
No,
remember Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades,
I'm talking
Poseidon,
about the
and Zeus.
Titans, though. You're naming the Greek mythology, the Greek gods, the ones that came after the Titans. I'm talking about who actually was birthed from Kronos, because again, Aphrodite's came from his nuts. If you remember the story, they was tossed into the ocean and she walked out of the ocean.
Oh, okay, I get you. What you're, yeah. So you're talking. So you're talking about like Atlas and Prometheus and
There we go, Atlas.
Saturn
That,
and
yes,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
now I got you. I was
So
confused
those,
myself.
I could be wrong, but those were Kronos' still. Those are the Titans, no?
Yeah, those are his. So those are the ones that are not part Olympian. Those are the full-blooded Titan children.
Exactly. So now, what? First off, let's go with this. What's the difference? Because if Zeus was born from Kronos, wouldn't he be a Titan?
He is part Titan, but he's
It's
not full Titan. He's part. So he is part Titan and part human.
really, see that I
Mhm.
didn't know.
Yeah, he's not. So Hera is not his mother. That is not his mother. So he gave. I want to say she was one of the ones where he turned into a bull and fooled somebody,
Because I don't
and
know
then
why I thought Zeus's mom's was a Titan. I thought she was the sky chick, the sky Titan. Kronos
Zeus's
was
mom, or
Zeus's mom's. That's the one that hid Zeus
yeah,
from Kronos.
Zeus's mom is Gaia.
Gaia, okay.
Yeah, Zeus's mom is Gaia. Wait, I could be wrong too, because that might have been Kronos's mother. Whose name is Gaia, and I
Yes.
thought, yeah, and then yeah, so it's not. That's not it. Kronos was that was his mother was
I,
Gaia,
if
and
I
then
if I remember the
Uranus.
story, it was something to do with the sky. That's why he has the air power or whatever. And then Kronos was basically time, I guess, if you want to make it, hence the name Kronos.
Yes, yeah, he's definitely time.
But then you had Atlas,
Atlas
which
was
is
yeah, that was Kronos. Kronos is one of his sons
well,
that
in the
helped us out.
books, in Percy Jackson, they make him out to be like one of the main generals for Kronos. One of the main during the war against Zeus, he was the main general, allegedly. That's why he got the punishment. His main punishment was, as the myths go, to hold the world, basically. That's why
Right.
we're in space or whatever you want to call it, because we're on his back. But it wasn't just him that had punishment. Did he punish somebody to hold up the night?
The
Was
world
like what?
before
Yeah,
or
no, it
anything
wasn't
with
somebody like holding up the night and the
the day.
sky and the night. Yeah, something like that. Like he made, and then Prometheus punishment. Even
Yeah,
though I
yeah.
don't know why he was punished, because he just wanted to help humans. So why was that person punished?
Prometheus was punished because he basically gave knowledge and fire to humans. So that's kind of like the whole knowledge of the fallen angels coming and giving humans knowledge, like Azazel and fucking Samayaza, whatever you want to call those deities from the Watchers, the Book of the Watchers. So it's kind of like a resemblance of them. So Prometheus is like your Lucifer character. He's your fallen angel, that rebellion from heaven type character. That's who Prometheus is. So he basically rebelled against them by teaching the people how to make fire and how to make armor and makeup and all that good stuff. And his punishment was to be chained to a tree and have his liver eaten out every day.
And then I don't remember who was the dude that was punished to push the rock up the hill.
Oh, I don't
And
know.
every
I
time
don't
it got to the top, it would roll back down.
know. Roll
Yo,
back.
so, yo, the God. First off, let's talk about the gods' punishments. Their punishments they used to dole out was horrific, and even the good gods was assholes. For example, Athena, supposed to be a fair and just goddess, she turned Medusa to Medusa because Medusa got raped in her temple by Poseidon. So one, that seemed like Poseidon might not be too good, and two, why would you punish the girl who was disrespected when it wasn't her fault? It's not like she was a skeezer and she was like, "Yo, come on, this right here in this temple." Athena would never know. It was nothing like that. She was taken
Right.
forcefully
Yep.
and was still punished for it. So that's like, and then you had the dude that couldn't eat, yet he was there by food, and anytime he reached for the food would run. Like these punishments was crazy. These punishments was crazy.
Oh yeah. They messed it up with illusions and all types of stuff to get to your punishment.
Or Apollo was another dirty one. What remember the guy who was talking trash about Apollo? So Apollo, that his bull was better than Apollo's bulls or some weird shit like that. So Apollo cursed his wife with wanting to sleep with the bull. And
Yeah.
she went to the I forgot his name right now, but the super famous Greek scientist that was building shit. The dude who built the
To make
labyrinth.
that thing to mount it to mount them.
Yes, yeah, and allegedly that's actually where the Minotaur came from.
Yes.
And when the baby was born, a Minotaur, the king was like, "Nah, get this monster shit out of here." And that's when the labyrinth was built and all that was built to house the Minotaur, so to speak, allegedly.
Hmm. That's true. Then that's part of the story that they did.
Well,
That
Greek
was
mythology is spectacular for that stuff. That's what made it interesting to me because, and that's also why I feel like people be like, "Oh, how Christianity and all these religions, it was easy for them to come and take over." Because if you listen, okay, so if you take all the Greek mythology that you know, Jackson, and you
Mhm.
really think about it, if that was your religion, and then you had these people coming through preaching of a good God, a God that loves you, a God that forgives, I'm rocking with that God. Because I seen what this damn that lady got, that lady got taken in the temple and they turned her into a monster. Or that guy was talking shit. Yeah, he was talking shit, but they had his wife get sleeping with bulls. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
What kind of God are you?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with the other guy.
That's what I'm saying. So they almost made it easy for their own downfall based on, and that's just being hypothetical that all this was accurate and all this was true at the time. Because I wasn't there, so I really don't know. For right now, this is just stories. This is just myths. These are just books, different type of books to Percy Jackson, so to speak. But it could have been an accurate thing at one point.
Oh, definitely.
And actually, if because I was doing a little research, there's actually still a group of people that worship and has this religion for these gods still. That still worship Zeus, that still worship Poseidon and some of these other gods. You can actually go online and sign up to some of these groups. And well, I think sometimes it'd be a little bit of a hustle because they'll turn around and be like, "Yeah, now buy our Bible and buy this and buy that to really get the true stories." When
Yeah.
it's all a hustle, it's all a G. All right. So, what really caused the Titan War, according to Greek mythology? And how does the show simplify that conflict? Well, of course, they're going to simplify it because it's a TV show. They're not going to give us the full gist. But you, my man, know about these myths. So, first off, what started it? Was it just the gods wanting to stay alive? They clearly wasn't dead in his stomach. So, what was the beginning of it?
So the whole beginning, the Titan War is like it officially started after Zeus poisoned Kronos. So he went to fo- purposely poison him to force him to throw up his other siblings because he was the youngest. So he was all everybody like Poseidon and them, they were all older than him. So after this, the rebellion kind of like fractured the cosmic status quo. So it forced all the older generation Titans and the younger generations of the Olympic gods to kind of like draw battle lines and sections and separate and they want to like absolute dominions over the universe. But during everything that was going on, the war actually got to a boiling point where it ended up being like a three rooted generational issues that ended up causing everything to collapse. So the first one was Cronus. So Cronus had I want to say it's called a broken promise to Mother Earth, which would be Gaia. So he overthrew his abusive father, that was Uranus. And he pretty much wanted to help his mother, which was Gaia, the Earth. In exchange for help, Kronos promised him to unleash like his monstrous uncles, the one-eyed Cyclopses. I want to say there was like 100 of them in their prison, and that was when we were talking about the prison in Tartarus.
Right.
So
So that
once
way, hold on, hold that thought. Let me ask you this because you just threw me off now. So you
okay,
mentioned Cyclops, but I thought Poseidon created the Cyclops. So how were they there already?
as we said, his monstrous uncles.
But oh, so that's where he got the idea of Cyclops from his Titan uncles that were kind of
Yes.
cyclopic. Okay, okay.
So yeah, they were one. So they were one-eyed Cyclops. So they were monstrous, like, and they got him for his uncles, and they were one-eyed, but they were called like, hey, fuck, man. So excuse my language. Hexenshires. I don't remember what they're called, but it's something like that. But they were different. But yeah, this was after he saved them too. So don't forget. So after the broken promise, and he made them throw up. That's when he released everybody. So I don't really think that it was. I think the Cyclopses were still made around that time, but I think this one is like a Titan Cyclops.
Okay.
So he was the
Okay.
uncle of the other ones.
You know what? Looking back and thinking back to all the different myths I remember from Greek mythology, I don't ever remember none of the Titans actually being described. Like described to the level. Like, do you know what Kronos was allegedly supposed to look like?
Absolutely not. Not when it comes into the mythologies of the books. Now, if you play God of War and games like that, you might get a depiction of something, but not in
But
the book.
even then, that's the depiction that the person who
They think
created it has. That's
correct.
like there's nowhere that like for example, if you play the newer God of War with his son, you see Thor. So now
Hmm.
Marvel, Thor is a surfer dude, nice body, he look awesome.
Right.
God of War, Thor was kind of a fat bastard, sloppy, kind of dusty, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now that we're talking about Norse mythology, we can make this clear here. Thor in Norse mythology is what you see in God of War. He is not what Marvel's Thor is. That's just Marvel's bullshit of what they want to depict him as. He's a drunk. He's fat. He's big. He looks just like that, or like a redhead, just like in Thor.
And that yeah, that's what they and then not only that, if looking at speaking of Norse mythology, thinking of some of his stories, he wasn't even the smartest dude.
No,
Yeah,
he
he
was.
could fight, but
He
there's
was
a couple times he lost, and the people who beat him was not necessarily stronger. They outsmarted his stupid ass. You know what
yeah,
I'm
they
saying?
did by making him drink the river of ale or to make him pass out or
Ah,
something.
that's the story I was thinking of too. That's hilarious. And they sat there and they was like, dude, we set your dumb ass up. The shit we had you doing that you lost was shit that nobody could have did. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody could have did. I don't even know how the hell you kind of did it type shit. But yet
Yup.
he lost. They set his stupid ass up.
Yeah, he wasn't very smart. Even Norman Gander, when he fought Norman Gander in Ragnarok, but knocked him back to the future. That giant snake was whooping him for a while.
Well, even in the Marvel cartoon, Thor like even when he sees it's game over, he knows, oh, I'm going to die, but I'm gonna die glorious. That Norse mythology, that's a whole different level of mythology there. Them motherfuckers is all on some I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna die beautiful. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like they with
I'm
it.
going to Asgard. I mean, I'm going to Valhalla or
Yeah, for
Norway.
Valhalla, I'm gonna die. It's worth it. Let's go. That's a scary. I'm glad I wasn't around during that time because that's a scary. You know what I'm saying? You look over your fucking wall and there's 100,000 crazy motherfuckers that want to die. That's a scary thing, yo.
Hmm.
That they like, yeah, send me your best warrior. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, what the fuck?
I fantasize about those times when I watch Spartacus, thinking, what
You would
would
want to
happen if,
live in that time?
yeah, maybe not as a slave, maybe not
I
as a
don't know,
fucking
brother.
slave in
We
the.
we we both jet. You a little more light skinned than me, but we both brown enough that we gonna have a rough going back then, brother. We gonna have a tough time.
Probably, shit, we might. Who knows? But yeah, I would like to see if I could become champion, or would I die the first time I enter an arena right away?
Yeah, I don't know, brother. When the motherfucking lions pop up, you think you that good with a sword that you gonna take out a lion? I ain't no Hercules kid. I'ma run.
No, I'm talking about like just like Spartacus fighting against other people, not like Rome where they had like those type of things where you fought lions and all kinds of animals
They
and
wild
chariots.
out. Yeah, they made the games interesting. You know what I'm saying? Except for the motherfuckers that was in the games. It wasn't interesting for their ass.
I don't know about that. I don't want to mess with no animals, so I might have to renege on that one and say I'm good. But if it was just other people with axes and the swords and all kinds of
Just
shit, even if
think,
it's a
think
battle royal,
Gladiator, brother. Think Gladiator. Even he had to deal with some animals. He was just nasty with it.
yeah, that's Mr. Aurelius.
That was a great scene. He
Yeah,
said, "Not in maybe this life or the next, but I'm coming for your ass." That was a great scene.
good movie.
Um, okay, so Kronos.
Hmm.
Let's keep it funky. Is he evil? Or it's like you said, because you mentioned he's basically doing the same thing and the same Zeus also. doing the same thing that Uranus did before him.
Yeah.
And now, okay, the gods of Uranus time, are they Titans also? Or there's something different? Because I'm starting to feel like every generation is calling themselves something different, but they're all Titans.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is because they can all be well, not really, because Gaia. Okay, so Gaia and Uranus are planets, right? So they're so and Kronos kind of was as well. So Gaia would be the Earth, and Uranus would be the planet Uranus, and then Cronus, when he overthrew his father, and there was no more Uranus. You know what I mean? So he took over time or whatever, but he pretty much took over the sky, which what meant was that's what that meant. So Earth is material, and then sky is the air. So he Kronos took over the air, and that's when after he pretty much kicked his dad to the curb and stuff like that. But they all Zeus can you know how Zeus can grow giant like Godzilla, like a kaiju, but he's not the size of a planet. That's where I think they differ when they meet Titan, if that makes sense.
So a Titan is way bigger than the Earth, so to speak.
Yeah.
So now okay. So if they're way bigger than the Earth or their planets, how are we seeing them as people on this planet? Because they were worshipped at some point. These were gods. These were gods that we were still spoken about as these myths and stories was passed down.
Right. Well, they were passed down to stories from man who created them. That,
Exactly. So how
and
were they seen? We didn't have telescopes back then. So what gave them these depictions of something out there?
well, these gods, like the Olympians, like I said, would be referred to as the ones from outer space. And then you have the ones that are the material ones, which we call Earth. So when you have a divine, whatever you want to call it, come down and speak to someone who's a Homo sapien sapien, and then tell them that your planet, the thing that you're walking on, is living, breathing, in consciousness, and her name is there. They're kind of learning from word of mouth from the actual beings that came down a long time ago, and then they pass it on through time, kind of like real life and religion and history and stuff like that. Like the Dogon tribe is a perfect example. Nobody in the fucking right mind knew where Sirius A or B was. And the Dogon tribe was fucking telling everybody without a map or a telescope where the hell it was. Because people have came down and told them and gave them that information.
Okay. So, but the bottom line is, were the Titans evil?
No, I don't think. I don't think. No, I think you had just like everything else. You had your evil gods and your evil titans.
So overthrowing the Titans, does that make Zeus and them the evil ones?
See it just seems to me that that was a generational curse. It just seems like
Ooh, I like the way you put that because clearly it happened to
it-
Chrono or to Uranus.
right. And then Cronus
Uranus
did it to him.
prophesies that it's going to happen to Kronos,
Yep.
and
And
they
then
basically did was now. Okay, we know that Uranus, because of Kronos, because of Uranus's prophecy, was swallowing his kids.
right.
Why did Kronos kill Uranus though, or defeat his father, kill him, whatever he did? Why? What
To
started
help his
that?
mother. To help Gaia.
So Uranus was just what, abusive, was beating her ass,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yep. He was basically an abusive father. And when Kronos overthrew him, I want to say I don't know if it was like in the middle of a beating or something like that, but it was definitely in exchange for help. So he promised basically to release his monstrous uncles and the Cyclopses and all that stuff from the prison of Tartarus, and once Kronos took the throne, stuff like that. And then his paranoia, that's when his paranoia got the fucking better of him and shit like that. And he broke his word to Gaia, and then he left his brothers locked away.
So going back to Kronos, why swallow his children? Why swallow your kids?
because
Was he
because
insane? Was he acting? I know he was acting out of fear of the prophecy, but isn't there a better way to do that? Isn't there a better way to, as much as I hate to say it, just kill these babies, snap their neck, cut their heart out, whatever the case is? Why just
I
boop, pop them like chicken nuggets? What was he thinking?
I don't know if he really wanted to kill them because he was big enough that once he swallowed them, they just grew up in his stomach, so they were alive in there. He didn't kill them. I don't think he wanted to kill them. He was just
Ah,
holding them like in a prison that no one can get to, that he knows where he's at. That's why he had to kill and overthrow Uranus, but Zeus had to poison Cronus to make him throw him up. They just did different went about different methods to get their family out. But unfortunately for the Cronus' siblings or Uranus' siblings, they got stuck in there. He
but
left them.
you made a good statement, a generational curse.
Yeah,
So, do you think Zeus is cursed to be overthrown by one of his kids?
yes, he
And
is.
did that happen?
Yes.
Because
His name is
so,
Kratos. No, I'm just kidding.
yo,
It's
you
not.
stupid.
It's not.
You
It's not
stupid as hell.
canon. It's not canon. But yeah, I think it kind of did happen a little bit with the demigods and shit like that. That's how he got overthrown, and then because that's pretty much what happened. Well, a lot a lot of religion and a lot of history and a lot of myths and legends and folklores are all pretty much very similar. But what makes Roman mythology and Greek mythology so much more similar than the other ones, even though they're the same archetypes, is because in the history they dipped pretty much from the Greeks and decided to flip Roman and change their names literally in the pantheons. Not like we have to go back and say, okay, well, this guy was Zeus and this guy was Thor. They literally tell you that Mars was Ares and Jupiter is Zeus. And when you
Well,
put
supposedly the Romans were big on that because remember, the Romans took over a big chunk of the world, and what they were known for, yeah, they took you over, but they kept a lot of your shit in play because they realized that would keep the people calm and docile. It wouldn't
yes,
be a situation that as they moving forward to take over more people, the people behind them are attacking and killing them. So they did that with their gods. They did that with some of their beliefs, some of their, and we see that in the King Arthur with Clive Owen. The Romans got to a portion of, I don't remember if they were Sumerians. I don't remember the name of Assyria or something like that.
Syrian. I
But
want to say, but I'm not sure.
they were known to be what we consider knights, horsemen, armor, but spectacular fighters on horse. And when the Romans finally beat these people, and it took them, years and hard fought battles, but they finally won because the Romans' numbers, they didn't kill these people. They put that whole horse unit right inside the Roman ranks. Like, oh no, no, we like that. You know what I'm saying? We like that. And that's what
Yep.
they were known to do. So that's what I felt they were doing with the gods. But being the Romans, nah, we ain't gonna keep the names the same. These gods are better now. They're Roman gods. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have to switch them up a little bit. And not just their names, some of their whole depictions were different at that point. No, am I wrong? For
No, no,
example,
no. They
Hera,
changed a couple. They changed a few people. Yeah.
yeah, like Hera is Juno. Their depiction,
Right.
almost their what they're what they're supposedly the gods of was totally different.
No, not necessarily. Some of them were, but not all of them. Because when it comes to Minerva would be Athena.
Yes.
Same thing.
Well, Athena is the
Mars
goddess of war and the goddess of wisdom.
for
What is
wisdom,
what is
war,
Minerva?
fertility. Minerva is the same thing.
Okay. But
Okay,
now I
and
know
then
Hera and Juno is different because Hera wasn't she like fertility and babies? Juno's not that, no.
Hera might have been fertility also, and also like the Queen of Olympus type archetype.
But now Juno, as yes, she would also be the queen of Olympus, I guess, or whatever they call. What did the Romans call it? Was it still Olympus?
No, I don't even know if they had. No, it was not called Olympus.
Because Olympus is a real mountain. That's been scientifically proven. Not the fact of gods being up there, but what the
Or
people
right.
of the time would have called Olympus and where they thought the gods might have been, type of thing.
Correct.
So not only in Percy Jackson and numerous mythologies that we actually spoke about today, there's always a prophecy. Actually, I think Apollo might have been the original god of prophecies or something of that nature.
The sun
Why?
gods, all the sun gods usually, but yeah, he's one of
Okay,
them.
and actually wasn't, I think that was one of his daughters was his main prophet, no? The and what the hell her name was? This was it the seer? Because Percy Jackson actually mentioned her. She was they had to go upstairs into the like a closet set up to speak with her.
Yeah.
But she basically all the prophecies went through her. So now, why does it seem like these prophecies was coming true, even when the characters in these stories was actively trying to stop them from coming true?
Well, you had your people that didn't want the prophecies to happen, and then you had the ones that were pushing for the prophecy to happen, and they're like hoping and waiting, and then you had the ones that were actually trying to make it happen, like force it to come faster, and that's just in every pantheon. Why they did it? It's all about the families back then. Like these beings had enemies and people who hated them, but people who loved them, and they were all in one particular time, a time separated from one another in groups. So people had to kind of like pick sides, if that makes sense eventually. So
Okay.
I think that has kind of like a big thing to do with it. And like when we're talking about like when we were talking about the other ones before, so so Minerva and Neptune are basically Poseidon and Athena, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Mars and Venus is Ares and Aphrodite. Apollo and Diana are Apollo and Artemis. Vulcan and Vesta is Hephaestus and Hestia. The
Well, see,
Forge
there's
and
a difference right there. Vulcan ain't horribly scarred. Isn't that difference?
no, he
Because
wasn't, but neither was Hephaestus until they whooped him. Remember, they whooped them and
ah,
abused them, and then Zeus made them to stay there to forge weapons, kind of like in the God of War when you seen. I don't know if you played the one where he kind of like depicts Hephaestus all messed up like a giant and shit. It's because Zeus did that to him as a punishment, and then he stood there and made him his blacksmith for life, so he can't move nowhere. He's punished,
yeah, I
but
remember
he
that. I
wasn't.
played that game actually. He was
Yeah,
all
he
big and
wasn't
all
mangled in the.
lumpy.
He looked normal.
So then, if he was all mangled up, because I've always had this question: how do you end up with the hottest goddess in the world? Because goddess of love, and you all mangled and chopped up. How the hell that work out?
I don't remember exactly how they got together. I think she was given to him, but I don't want to say something that I don't remember because I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, because I don't remember that story neither. Because I remember, okay, like Hades and Persephone. I remember Hades took Persephone at one point,
Hmm.
and the setup was if she ate something down there, she was had to stay with him, and he kept her ass down there for whatever X amount of time, and eventually she ate something, and like kind of like, all right, fuck it, I'll be with you for this amount of time, type shit,
Yeah.
and that's the whole seasons and all that, but. You never really heard how that worked out with hepatitis and what you call it. That always threw me off. So now let's go back to this. Zeus, the king of gods. Could Zeus actually stop fate? Or were the fates actually considered more powerful than the king of the gods? Now, before you answer this question, the fates, I remember there was a story that I heard that the fates actually told him, we're going to clip your shit one day too. So now to say that to the king of gods, you have to be stronger, no? And if you are, what are they? Are they titans?
Okay, so the sisters of fate, they know the future. Like so they can like tell you they can predict the future. They kind of know what's going to happen.
Well,
So
the story with those, isn't it one creates your line, one tends your line, and then one clips your line when that time comes? Isn't that something how like that works? The three
Yeah, so
sisters.
yes, something like that. They have their individual roles when
So
it
are
comes.
they gods? Are they stronger than Zeus? If they are, what are they? Are they titans? Are they something different? Are they something more?
No, there's something different. They're not titans, or they're not titans. They're not titans, and I want they're if anything, I want to say you would consider them like a demigod, I guess. You know what I mean? Like they're like the daughters of the Nymphs is one of the fates. You know how the Nymphs, the primordial goddess of the night.
Well, that's
So
actually, it's funny that you mentioned her. That's another one that, like, looking well, before we started talking about this, deep diving and researching, they mentioned that Nyx was actually stronger than Zeus. Yet, is she a
no, no. She's I want to say she's the daughter of Nemesis and I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember who Nink's parents are at the moment. But I will tell you, this is 100% facts. That is the only person Zeus fears is Nynx. The only one. Was it Oranio? Oh, brother, I think it was Oranio. Maybe that was her dad. Oranio was her dad. And then yeah, Eris. There you go. Onariel and Eris was her parents. So I think Eris was the goddess of chaos, and he was basically like a Morpheus with prophecies and mortal. That's what it was. So he was the dream. So he wasn't a god. So yeah, she's more of a demigod. She's a demigod. Her father was a human, basically like dreams and nightmares and stuff like that, prophecies and warnings and stuff like that. And he was a mortal, and then Ares was the goddess of chaos, strife, and the rivalry. So he's definitely a demigod.
but were they titans though? Is what I'm asking. Is Nyx a titan?
No,
Okay,
she's
she's
she's not.
so
She's a half.
God.
She's half like I don't. Yeah, because I'm telling Morpheus and this guy weren't Titans either. They were more like mortals that have prophecies. Like they would have like prophetic dreams or nightmares, and while they were sleeping, and they would have people like bring stuff. Like he was one of those. His name was the Onerio or something like that. It means dreams. And then her mother was the goddess of chaos. So she would be considered a goddess. So she would be half human and half god at the very least.
So now, so then you're trying to sell me. What up, Carl, Scarlett, and Gender Teacher? They rocking in the chat. So you're selling me on the fact that a half human, half god is stronger than Zeus.
She's
Because
the primordial goddess of night, so she fears him. Like he fears her the most. Yes.
okay, that's interesting. But then going back to the fates, then so that's another demigod setup that you're saying is stronger than Zeus.
I'm not. I wouldn't say that they're per se stronger than Zeus. Um, Nymph's powers, when it comes to her, is only strong in certain areas. That's why she fears him. He fears her, and then she fears the sisters of faith because they can predict the future, and that's why they can go up to him and tell him that this is going to happen or this is going to happen, and it's in a way, is just giving him a warning because he's just going to go listen to what he said and try to stop it from happening by doing whatever he can. But that's how it worked. And then you had the nine muses. Those are the cousins. There was quite a few of them actually when it came to these the sisters of fates and stuff like that. Because you had the one of darkness and peace, order, and justice, like you were talking about, and they were like controls of a person's destiny. I would like to say, like, they control the natural order and societal justice, so they can intervene and change the whole aspect of everything. And that's basically what he feared of. What Zeus feared of was that.
Okay. So let's go. Let's talk about Hermes, since Luke seems to be the main antagonist in the series. Hermes clearly loves Luke, but struggles to reach him. Does this mirror the relationships Hermes had with his children in mythology? Does any of that come to mind? Any of his children was in some of the main stories?
A little bit, not that much, I'm trying to think. Before he was born, I think he tried to become like the Oracle of Delphi, and Hades kind of like went to the Oracle and they broke the ritual, and then she was left like prone with, like, her eyes were glowing and green and stuff, and then she started like having prophetic visions of
That's who I was
Hermes.
talking about. The Oracle of Delphi. That's Apollo's daughter,
Yeah,
making her a demigod of prophecy, I guess, or something of that nature.
so that was before he was born, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then he was basically destined to like save this Western civilization or destroy it. And the divine law forbids that the gods, from telling mortals their futures and directly interfering with the destiny. So every time Luke cried out for his dad, for example, to fix his mom, Hermes had to stay completely silent and distant for the most part. I think as like
Going
he was
back
like
to
9 years old.
Going
But
back to the law. Remember, we was talking about that a little while ago. Zeus clearly made a law that none of them can deal with their children. None of them can deal with anything that's mortal, so to speak.
right.
But then what good are you? You're getting your power from the belief and the prayers and the worship of these mortals that you don't deal with. That again, this is why I feel Christianity had an easy walkthrough. Nobody argued. They was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm with that."
Well, they kind of had no choice when people were going around massacring people who didn't fit.
Which is also
But
true.
then, but that's
Which is
another.
also true.
Yeah.
But I don't even think there had to be too many massacres because,
I know.
like we just said, if I'm a Greek and I'm listening to these religions, I'm listening to these stories on what the gods is doing when you disrespect them, or what the gods is doing for no apparent reason whatsoever. I'm happy. What you said? If I give you 10%, I'm good. Yeah, I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm with that.
I'll give him 20%.
Yeah, you feel me? I ain't gonna get punished. I ain't gonna get turned into a monster because I said some stupid shit. Yeah, I ain't gonna win in the contest, and my prize is still a punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, I just won. Why am I punished? What the hell?
Either way, you're screwed.
Yeah, because isn't that something that happened to like Midas? Didn't he win, or didn't he do something that his gift, his punishment was okay? Now you can turn everybody into gold, you dumbass. You know what I'm saying? You win, but you lose.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
back Hermes. Hermes was the messenger god.
Yeah.
The way the book and the show depict him as if he's a kinder Olympian, if he's one of the nice ones. Is that accurate from mythology, or is that this book softening his personality? This show softening it, trying to make it more appeasing.
I think they kind of like get a little justice on his character when it comes to Hermes. He's pretty much like he is kind of in the show. He's not like he's definitely not like Zeus. And he walks like he definitely is one of those guys that walks directly among the mortals, acting like a guide and he protects them and stuff like that. He's like a comedic trickster, you know what I mean? So he kind of like it fits him, unlike the other one. So I can say that he's not like he's kind of similar as in the Greek mythology when it comes to that.
Okay. So now going back to the show. Why is Clarice chosen for the quest instead of Percy? Is this similar to how Greek heroes had to earn glory?
Yeah, I would say yes, but it's kind of oh man, with the way the show's going, it's kind of weird because there was no Clarice. You know what I mean? So it kind of like it's
But it
like
could
its
have been
own.
anybody. It could have been you. If you think about it, it could be any demigod that you can put in that place. You could put Hercules. You could put Perseus. You could, you know what I'm saying? Is this something that Greek heroes, remember you was talking about that a lot of the gods, Zeus being one of the specific ones, chose to ignore their kin? They probably knew they had thousands of kids out there. Demigods, some with power, some without power, like you was talking. So now, did they have to do these quests? Is that something they had to do to earn this glory? Or
Yeah,
because they were demigods? Because the book kind of goes both ways. The book makes it seem just because you're demigod, if you're a demigod with power, you're going to get forced into this, whether you want to or not. Because once your powers start to manifest, these monsters is going to come for you regardless. Yet the book also makes them go on these quests to earn glory, to earn, the sight of their parents, possibly type of thing. So is that an accurate depiction? Is that something that these heroes of the older days had to actually deal with?
yeah,
Their glory was based on these quests that
yep,
came from the whim of these gods, because the quest came from the gods, basically, I would assume.
yeah, and mostly Zeus. Zeus was mostly the one that would give him the quests, and he wanted to see like which ones would prevail, and the ones that can prove themselves is the ones he worshipped. The other ones were just pretty much, you know, nothing to him. Now the other ones like that had sent their kids on missions, they weren't doing it for power or anything like that. That's the only difference when it came. And then yes, all the other demigods that were out there that were meaningless, they would have all kinds of different trials of their own. And then you had the ones that were like Hercules and him and Perseus, and then Percy Jackson, which is he's based off of him. He was Perseus was Zeus's son in the mythos. So they definitely kind of like flipped it here, which like, it doesn't really kind of make a
Well,
difference story wise.
if you remember from season one in the first episode, his mother tells him that, oh, I got your name from a story, from a famous mythology, from Perseus, because they was in the museum looking at the statue.
Right,
That's where I got your name from. So they knew that was, but it just happens to be that this time around it's it's Poseidon's kid.
right. So they definitely did go through a bunch of, and the higher, even if your powers weren't developing and they weren't looking for you, if you accomplished something and they heard about it, they were going to watch you. And then if you exceeded and if you had powers, forget it. You were like half divine, half demigod. You're gonna do their bidding. If it's Zeus, he's gonna make you pretty much have everybody fall in line, listen to him, the rules, all that stuff, and he'll use them to like whack anybody he needs to whack and just to hold control. Now Hades and Poseidon, like I said, they didn't do any of that. Neither did Athena, from what I know of. They didn't do none of that stuff when it came to using their children as tools, kind of thing. But in regards to Ares' daughter in the show, I think it's more like she's still a demigod of a very high ranking demigod. Does that make sense? So it kind of like it's in the same range as Athena, Ares, Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus and stuff like that. Now, if it was somebody, I think less, like a minor less, I don't think it would have. They would have had that character do the mission for the police or anything like that. I just think that they're higher ranking demigods than the other lower class ones.
You mentioned earlier that there were some demigods that actually didn't have power. So now, for example, if there's a demigod that doesn't have power, but somehow they're able to do these quests or whatever the case is and actually do them well, is it a possibility that they could still reach divinehood? Or most likely it would be one of these demigods that show power, like for example, Hercules with his strength, or for example, Percy Jackson from the TV show. This dude, water power is immense. So would you expect somebody like that to be to become a true god, or is it only any demigod can possibly reach that status?
Okay, so I'm almost positive that in traditional mythology, the ones that didn't have elemental superpowers, okay, so like your water bending and what you speak of, if they didn't possess that, they just basically were mortals with super strength, beauty, cunning, uh, uh, enhanced endurance, stuff like that. Like, but they would have to rely mostly on their combat training and shit more than divine weapons and stuff like that. So they wouldn't know anything about that. But they would be like, for example, they will be stronger than the average human, faster than the average human, have more stamina, be more attractive, male or female.
But that's what I'm saying. So would if these people that while they don't have super elemental type of burst of energy, they're slightly above a human. Is these people that can become gods, full gods, if they did? I'll give you an example. Achilles. Achilles was some kind of demigod, allegedly. And at one point, this man was the greatest warrior known to man. Yeah, he lost from a fucking arrow to the ankle, but at one point, they thought this man was like invincible.
Yeah. The
So,
same thing as Helen. Helen
but
was the
he
same thing.
didn't, yeah, but he didn't have power, so to speak, outside of his battle prowess. Could
Well,
he
that's
become a divinity? Could he become a god
well,
because
he
of this?
was.
So
Now
he
the
also
Trojan,
became a god.
he was a god like that. See, the thing is, that a lot of people so the Trojan War and like the Odyssey and all that good stuff back then. They don't. There's two different iterations of Achilles. You have your Achilles that your demigod actually Achilles, and then you have the one that they say it's a demigod, but he's really not. He's just a human basically with fast and everything and armor piercing skin because they dipped him in his mom dipped him in some type of water that ended up doing some type of thing that made him invulnerable from the all the way down to the ankles, and that's why when he got hit in the Achilles tendon, that was the only part the water didn't hit because she dangled him by his feet and dipped him in the water.
What a dummy.
Now
Should have dipped the whole body under there.
you would think, but she didn't do it. Even the toes, but no. And that's why he ended up being. But he was able to fly and do all other kinds of stuff in the mythologies.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know they went that deep.
Yeah, in the mythos of Achilles, yes, but like in like the actual books in the Odyssey, no.
Okay. I didn't even realize they gave you two different versions type of thing. But you know what? That makes sense because hearing the Hercules stories, I was told a lot of that is a few different versions of different type of Hercules, not necessarily the same one, because a lot of people don't realize the fact that he was tricked into killing his family, or how he actually died and became a god, or how his wife was tricked and then he horribly suffered and died like a horrible, painful death type thing. Like, a lot of people don't realize those parts of the story. Those get left out.
Mhm. amongst other things. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that gets left out.
All right, so Tyson, Percy's brother, and this season they gave us a few different times when he actually put his life on the line for Percy. It's almost as if they're giving us a family aspect that Greek mythology kind of ignores. Do you agree with that?
For Tyson, I no, not really. I don't agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because he's the mother. So his mother was a nature nymph, and I guess I would have to explain a nature nymph first.
Go for
But and of course, his father, his father was Poseidon. So they actually possess two lines of magical parentage. So Tyson's mother is basically one of those sea nymphs that we speak of. Did I lose you? Hello?
No, no, I'm here, brother. I'm
Okay.
still with you.
Yeah, so she's basically one of the sea nymphs. So they both already had magic and stuff like that. So I want to say that since he's not a demigod, but he's just a cyclops because they're both, you know, deities and stuff like that, divinity, and his magic can allow him to do certain things and other stuff that won't allow, I guess, someone like Percy who's half human and half god type of thing.
Well, Tyson, at least in the show and in the books, they make it seem like Cyclops are immune to fire. Yet they don't give Percy that type of immunity. Why does the Cyclops have that, but Percy don't? Yet Percy can use the water when Tyson can't. The only similarities it seem like is they both can breathe underwater.
Uh, Now, you might be right about the breathing. That's what got me stumped because I'm thinking, can he breathe underwater, or was he just holding his breath for a long time?
Well, I
But
know in the show they gave that illusion like they could breathe underwater.
okay, yeah, he's basically supposed to. He is supposed to be immune to fire.
Well, we seen a few times here in the show at least he was attacked by fire and it kind of did absolutely nothing. And the reason for that, the example they gave is, oh, that's right. You guys work with my father and making the armor. So of course y'all would be immune to fire type of thing.
Yeah,
And
actually,
that's also how you know that they breathe underwater because they do they work, which damn if I know how the fuck is it possible, but they do they work under the ocean. So they doing this armor and they smelting and they doing whatever they doing, but they're doing it under the water.
yeah. Well, he should be able to breathe underwater. It wouldn't make sense if he does because he's the son of Poseidon.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And Percy shown that he can breathe underwater, minus the fact that he can control the water. For example, anytime we seen this man hit water, when he come out, he's instantly dry. It's like the water just falls off him. You know what I'm saying? It just falls off him.
yeah. He's like a mermaid too. Like that. That's what he should be. He should be immune to fire, have superhuman strength, kind of like being able to shatter metal and wrestle monsters and bending bars and stuff like that. But
Well,
he should also
Tyson,
be able to
yes.
mimic your voice. Yeah, Tyson should be able to mimic your voice like a siren.
Which yes, he done that also. You good. He's done all that. So is that something most Cyclops can do?
Yes, they should all be able to do that, especially with and they're all very smart too. Like they're all very intelligent. That's why they're master craftsmen.
Well, see, now that's crazy to me because then the stories like again the one that they came across in the Odyssey or in whatever the case might be, Jason and the Argonauts. I know it was one of them that came across him after seeing Cersei. So when they came across him, they made him seem kind of dumb, kind of sloppy, real ogreish, like you said before.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, which version is an accurate depiction of what a Cyclops would be? The ogreish type of thing, or what Tyson stands for? Something a lot more intelligent, something a lot more human esque, so to speak.
In Greek mythology, it would be Tyson. In North mythology, it would be ogre, monster like. Yeah, but yeah, and what we're talking about, it would be smarter, more human like
Just just the one eye though.
cyclops. Yeah, just one eye makes them a cyclops. Yeah.
Okay, so now let me ask you this. Do you think being a cyclops would be a curse? Or did Greek mythology actually give Cyclops an important role amongst the gods? Now, Tyson in the show and in the books, he's like depressed, he's down. It's a curse to him. He don't want to
Uh,
be a Cyclops. And coming across Percy's girl, which her name is eluding me right now. She in the books, she give him mad attitude because of her past. In her past, she was harassed and lost friends to monstrous versions of the Cyclops. So when she sees this human esque Cyclops come in, she don't see the human esque part. She sees the one eye, and that's it. You're a monster. And Percy in the book, Percy had to really struggle, and not just Percy, Tyson had to struggle proving himself to her because she wasn't with him. And when anything went wrong, this motherfucker did it. He probably with them. He probably told them. He probably gave them a signal to come. You know what I'm saying? It was always he did it. And he never flipped out. He just stood humble. And Percy's like, nah, that's my brother, nah. And then eventually, they broke through in the book. The show, they went a kind of a little bit of a different way. So in the show, she wasn't necessarily as animalistic towards him as she was in the book.
right.
So what would you think? You think that's a curse? Would you want to be a Cyclops? If you was given an option and they like, yo, we can make you a demigod, but it's a Cyclops though. Would you roll with that?
Uh, I would if I didn't have like any other choice or anything for that matter. And I'm gonna tell you why right now because it's in different mythologies like we speak of all the time. It's both viewed as a curse and a gift, depending on the specific mythology, right? So in this show, it's kind of like they depict these guys more of tragic outcasts than they are viewed in ancient Greek mythology as master smiths that are intelligent. So I wouldn't like want to be an outcast or anything like that when it comes to the Percy Jackson universe. But when it comes to like being a master smith and be able to do that stuff, it's considered a gift, not a curse to them. But that's one of the things in the show that difference from Greek mythology and Percy Jackson's the author's version of his stuff.
All right, lost the mic for a second there. Sorry, brother.
So I'll give him, and I kind of heard something like it
All right.
sounded like.
So the Sea of Monsters. That's and okay, and the show they give you what is it? Charybdis? and I forgot what the name of the other one is with the dragon on top of the cliffs. Now, they feel today that those mythologies came from just the unknown torments of the sea. Some people believe it could be talking about like the Bermuda Triangle type of thing. Or do you think it was just really monsters out there back in the days?
Oh yeah, there definitely was water bending people like Poseidon or whatever you wanted to call them before that can do that. So I think that that definitely is a thing. The Bermuda Triangle is definitely a thing. We have had a lot of different type of things happening in
No,
that
I'm
area.
talking about the Sea of Monsters, though. Those two major monsters from Greek mythology, which also they use actually see a version of them in Sea of Monsters. I mean, in the Percy Jackson, you see the big opening mouth that was like a whirlpool,
Yeah,
and he mentions the the other one. We see all we see is the heads come down. If you remember Clarice and her ghost ship, how as they went closer to the rocks, to the mountain or whatever the case, whatever the what was in the middle of this ocean, an island or whatever the case was, they were snatched up right off the boat, basically.
yeah. So that was
So
so you had your share of this, which was like the whirlpool one that you speak of, and then you have like the Hydra looking one called Scylla.
Scylla, there we go.
She was the
Yes.
six-headed monster that kind of looked like Ghidra
Yeah, and
from
it's funny because
Orgodora.
they
Yeah,
talked to us a little bit about that from Odyssey. That's where we first hear it, right? Or is it Jason and the Argonauts, whichever one it is, that they lost men to both of them basically. But now again, so is that torments of the sea, and that's just the name they gave them, or do you think they were these monsters, so to speak? And who knows? Do you think they're still there, possibly?
I think they're two monsters now. Whether it's a kraken or a six-headed monster, or you don't see like a whirlpool because he's underneath like a giant octopus or something. I know in scripture and every mythology you have something that is it's a different name, but you have two kind of like sea creatures, entities or whatever, and that's the
Like
Leviathan.
Leviathan, yeah, but say
Right.
Leviathan. I don't know what the
Levi-
second one would be.
Leviathan is one, and then the other one is the Behemoth,
Ah, yes, I actually have heard of that. Okay.
and that's the male, and the Leviathan is so the Leviathan will be equivalent to the to Norman Gander, the sea snake, the one that wraps around the whole world in Norse mythology.
Yes.
So I want to say that there's something like that, whether it's just no one's have seen the entire body, or if it's just a kind of a Loch Ness monster that these
I,
guys speak of. Or,
I think Egyptian actually has something similar too, right? Didn't Ra have to fight this type of snake as well every day or something like that?
wrestled with it, I think. Amin Ra.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think
And
he
that was
wrestled.
that myth. That was his myth behind all that.
Yep, in Egyptian mythology. Amin Ra was the sun god. So and yeah, so all the sun gods have similar stories, but they're kind of like changed. They changed them a little bit, but that's pretty much the archetype. Amin Ra, Christ, Helios, Apollo, all the sun gods.
Ah, okay. So that your thought is that Christ would be a type of sun god. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that. I can respect that. Um. So again, I mentioned the Bermuda Triangle. This is what they used in the show and in the books to be the modern day Sea of Monsters. The next show I believe we discussed on talking about was going to be American Gods. So they actually had a similar, like thought process. They were moving ancient myths or ancient god talk, so to speak, into a more modern setting. And Percy Jackson, they gave us Olympus being in the Empire State Building and stuff of that nature. So, why do you think adaptations love connecting ancient myths to real world mysteries?
What? Oh man, you know what? I'm a very firm believer that everything is part of a script, so to speak. So there's going to be stuff that they're going to try to tell you to keep you off balance, let's just say. And then there's going to be a time where they're going to tell you everything. And I think that's the way they do a predicted program.
Polyphemus, that's how you say his name, is the
Poly,
villain in this season. That's
poly.
the monstrous Cyclops, Polyphemus. In the Odyssey and other Greek mythology that might have spoken, because I'm sure he wasn't just in the Odyssey. Is he a villain? Is he evil? Or is he just protecting his home? Because if you think about it, that island, that's home. These dudes done land on his island and figure, well, what yours is going to be mine now. So he defended. He fought back. He ain't gonna let them take my shit. This is my shit.
Yep. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah. To answer your question, he's not evil. He was just protecting his stuff and doing what Poseidon told him to do for Odysseus.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. But that's crazy. Like the way he's depicted, they may evil more. This man was on his own. He didn't leave that island looking for some no smoke. You know what I'm saying? That man did whatever he did on his island. He had his little flock. He did whatever he did. Was minding his business. And these soldiers come up on here and want smoke. All right, well, they gonna get all this smoke now. You know what I'm saying? They gonna get all this smoke now. If Odysseus wasn't able to trick Polyphemus, would the Cyclops have been as famous as he was? Because he's actually one of the most well-known Cyclops. I'm
Yeah, he is.
sure, like you said, there was, this was a race of people. This was like how there was centaurs or how there was humans. But he became one of the well-known ones. Do you think it was all based on the fact that he was able to be tricked? That he might not have been as smart as some of his brethren, so to speak? Because you mentioned that they actually was a pretty smart race, so to speak.
Yeah, they were. And I
Clearly,
think he
he
was
was
the most
tricked like a little kid. You know what I'm saying? And clearly, he was tricked like a little kid in this shit.
Yeah, he was. They made him like kind of like they duped him into doing
It made him like
stuff.
he was
But
stupid. Like he was stupid, basically. That's why I said it. And the mythologies I can think back, that's the type of attitude they gave. Yes, strong as a house. In some situations, tall as houses. But dee, you know what I'm saying? Slow as hell. Like you could outwit them. If you had even a little bit of smarts, you had an advantage. You know what I'm saying? You had an
yeah,
advantage. As long as
yeah,
you didn't stand still and let their ass smash you, you might have had a chance. You might have had a chance.
he was just a savage. He was a savage, and he ate those men. That's what made him seem so bad.
Actually, you know what? The next question is funny because we mentioned and we sprinkled a little bit on this. Why do so many monsters in Greek mythology turn out to be the victims of the gods themselves? We mentioned
Oh,
this with Medusa. We
yeah,
mentioned this a few different times. It seems like the victims, the villains, if you really look at it from different perspective, or you look past the way they're given to us, are not necessarily the villains or the villains. We just mentioned Polyphemus. This man was on his island minding his business. These
hmm
dudes landed and figured they was gonna take shit. That's like somebody kicking down your front door and being like, "Yeah, you know what? That TV, nah, that's my shit." The fuck, you know what I'm saying? So why is that the case? Again, we mentioned it with Medusa as well. This lady was taken advantage of. She was misused, mistreated, and mishandled by Poseidon
yeah,
in the temple of Athena. This
yes,
woman was a high priestess of some sort to Athena, meaning
absolutely.
she dedicated her life to this goddess in worship and praise and love, and was given a punishment, a horrific punishment, and it wasn't even her fault.
Yeah, and that's the way it happens over there because it's all about a physical manifestation of anything that of a divine punishment. It could be a broken law, it could be shame, it could be greed, it could be anything. But in Greek mythology, all monsters are cursed. That's why.
Now, let me ask you this: a monster that's cursed, wouldn't you actually feel some type of way? So, is it the fact that they're evil or they're villains, or is it the fact that they've been cursed that made them feel evil or made them feel like, oh, I'm gonna fuck shit up now? You done turned me into this hideous monster. Fuck this. I
Yeah,
can't even look at nobody. They turn to stone. Fuck this. You know what I'm saying? Is that the turnaround from that?
yeah. I think it is because it's happened on several different occasions when it comes to especially the Greek mythology. How like Archon, he was a master weaver and he would boost the skills trying to surpass the goddess Athena. And after a duel, Athena transformed her into a spider, forcing her to eat her descendants and to weave webs forever. So that's just an example of one punishment.
But you see what I'm saying? So you punish me because I prove, because I remember that story. You punish me because I proved what I said. I said that I was better seamstress than you, goddess. And then you challenged me to a battle, and I won. And
Yeah,
that's my reward. You can't be like, oh shit, you are good. You know what? That's for me. And let me bless you. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you don't do that. You
not
turn
to
me into a
them.
spider. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like what?
You can't insult nor challenge them. Either which way, she was done.
But then, okay, I would have respected it more if she just did it. And it's like in Sandman, that we spoke about this the other day. There was a scene in the show The Sandman that the Sandman granted this man immortality.
Yes.
For whatever reason it was. It might have been humorous to him in the beginning, or he might have just wanted to see what the guy did, whatever.
It was
Whatever his
humorous. It was for humor. It was because he said that he would live 1,000 lives and wouldn't ever get tired of it. So he Morpheus put him to the test and they became best friends. Yeah, that's
exactly. But before it got to that point, they sat there, they chit chatty, chit ha he, and the dude was like, "Yo, are we friends?"
hmm
No disrespect in his voice, no malice, and the affront this man took. This man got up. How dare you? The audacity to think that I need to be your guy's confused. Like, what? What this? What are you talking about? Like, I'm just asking a question. So it's like kind of odd that this is the way that you would think that these gods react. Like, no, I'm just telling you I'm talented. I think I'm good. I might be as good as you.
hmm
Let's battle. There's no malice. There's no disrespect. You still the god. I know there's no way. You know what I'm saying? There's no way I'm a god. I'm just saying in this I'm talented. Whether I got that talent from you being the god of this talent, you know what I'm saying? Whatever way you want to spin it, but there doesn't have to be no malice. You don't have to turn me into a spider because I'm telling you I'm good at this. That
and
shit
then make you
bugs me
eat your
out.
descendants. That's
That's
fucked. That
like
is.
that's the nail in the coffin. So now I'm not only gonna turn you into a monster, I'm gonna curse your family with your ass. So now if you see your family, them niggas is dinner. You know what I'm saying? Them niggas is dinner. That's it. Enjoy.
Great.
Manja. You know what I'm saying? Like
Manja.
manja. Enjoy.
Eat up.
Hell yeah. Um, okay, so and back to the book and the show. Does Percy rely too much on his power? Does he win because of compassion? Or is he winning because he's basically the strongest dude on the block right now? Because he's definitely proven that.
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think his compassion would make some do his power stuff and or give him the will to do whatever he needs to do. I think it's both, to be honest.
Actually, you know what? I want to ask you a question. In the show, they gave us a depiction of the sirens. What did you
Okay.
think about that? Is that the picture in your mind of what a siren could be? Or did you have a different vision, reading mythology, learning mythology? Did you have a different vision of what a siren was? I had personally had a different vision, but I like how they did it. I ain't gonna hold you.
Ah, I think they're all right.
It
I
makes
think they're
sense to me. If you have this power, why wouldn't you be anywhere? You know what I'm saying? Why would you stay on this island? Why would you just be on this island making people come to you? You know what
that's
I'm saying? If they were like a harpy, they would fly anywhere and whenever the fuck they wanted to, woo, and eat people. No, everything was depicted to this island. Even in the stories, the what is it? I think it might have been the Odyssey for this too. But even in these, what they had to do? Oh, we coming up to this island. I better get that wax ready because they knew when they got to this point, these shits was gonna be there, and these shits was gonna try to summon you in to eat your ass or whatever they was doing. Because I don't even think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think they actually mentioned that they were eating people. I don't know what they were doing, but the point is they were calling you to your death because
yeah.
people were jumping off the boat. And I'm taking it as they were jumping off the boat and dying en route to get to where this music was coming from. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that they got there and the sirens was what was killing these people.
Well, the siren. Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it what it is because what their sirens are. They usually lure them with their enchanting music and their voices, and they usually want to try to have a shipwreck so it can get close to the coast of their whatever their island's at. So their island that they're on, if they're depicting an island on that thing, that's actually what they do in Greek mythology. But like the rocky coast and shit, they're trying to get them to lure them. But usually they do go out of the water and they can swim around you and lure you as well too in the middle of the sea.
Ah, okay. See, I didn't know that part of it. So what are they, like fish people then? That's why
Yeah,
you're
they're
not feeling
mermaids.
it.
They're
Ah,
like mermaids pretty much, but they're cursed. They're cursed. So basically, what a mermaid is, or a siren is, or allegedly they're supposed to be cursed women that had children with the fallen angels. So the women that gave birth that were human were turned into sirens, and that's in like the Book of
ah.
Enoch and other religious scriptures and stuff like that. That's pretty much what it is. So in Greek mythology, the sirens were, dangerous creatures who were cursed. They just don't, explain why they were cursed. And they were also handmaidens of Persephone.
Wow. So handmaidens of nature somehow became these sirens. So now do you feel they were eating the people? Because if you're shipwrecked and you died horribly in sea, you never really made it to the island for me to eat you.
Right. Maybe I mean the ones on the island, if they made it, they did not eat the sailors.
I feel
They
like
just
it was almost an entertainment. Oh, there's a shit. Let's see how many of these dumb fucks we kill today. You know what I'm saying? We see people
it,
that
it
they die
kind of
today.
Yeah, I would say it was kind of an entertainment because they would just lure them so they could starve and have them like crash their ships and shit together. Like so, basically, pretty much they were doing it for entertainment, just to mess with them for their own pleasure.
That's crazy. But again, that tracks based off of the mythology and what we know about
They're
what they,
like
the
tricksters,
gods, yeah.
trickster sirens. Crazy. I didn't like the way they looked. The depiction was fine, but I would like them to look a little different than they did.
Well, me thinking, not realizing the part that you just taught me, so you gave me a new look on it. So now that you told me that, I'm really not feeling it either. But before knowing that they can move around and kind of swim or be mermaids, so to speak, my
Yeah.
thinking was that makes sense. They're kind of stationary to the land. They're kind of rooted to the land. That makes sense. That's why they summon and sing to bring people towards them and to hypnotize and stuff. And that's why these people knew where they were. This was where they were planted or where they grew. And in your case, now that you're telling me they were cursed, okay, this is where they might have been cursed to. Yet they can't leave this place. So instead of leaving, they'll summon your ass. And if you fall for it, your ass is coming to me. But again, even knowing now, not knowing the swimming portion, even thinking that, okay, they might have been stationary and stuck in this land, I don't remember ever hearing that they ate any of these people. I've always heard, like you said, in the action of them singing this song that hypnotized and made people basically jump off the ship, if not, like you said, crash the ship.
Right.
But I would assume in that death, because you gotta do the math. I'm on a ship, even if it's an older ship that might be smaller. I'm on a ship. I need a certain depth of water for my ship to be in. So I'm not necessarily sailing next to this island close. I'm sailing at least a few miles away from this
Away from
island.
the coast. Yeah. For sure.
Exactly. So because of that, this singing is making me want to, because of the story I remember, this man tied himself to the mast to hear it. And when he heard it, the amount of rage and pure, adrenaline that he was using to try to break from these ropes to get at this sound. I don't see you. Okay, so boom, you jump over. I don't see you making it to that island. I see the sharks getting your ass. I see you, even if you a sailor for 1,000 years and you the best swimmer ever.
You ain't. Yeah, I feel you.
This
There's
is
something out
like you
there,
said, you 5 miles off coast. You're not swimming 5 miles in.
especially if it's pitch black and you can't see nothing. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Right.
So you, as soon as you jump off that boat, unless they can get your ass back on the boat, which you're not gonna let them because that's the hypnotizing part.
Oh, they're not going to. Once you go into the water, they're gonna pull you down to drown you if you're in the middle. They're not gonna let you get to the coast. They're gonna drown you. That's pretty much what it is. But the only thing that see where the confusion comes in about the flesh eating cannibalistic ones, that's when the Romans kind of like changed it in the modern pop culture and they depict them as flesh eating cannibals. But the Greeks didn't. They were more like a psychological haunting.
Mm.
But
All
that's
right.
what
So
they.
let me ask you this: while Hercules is known for his strength, he's actually the only one, the only demigod that, or the only Greek mythology that pops into my head that mentions strength as a prowess, strength as a power of one of the demigods. Is intelligence more valuable than strength throughout Greek mythology? Because we get a lot of them that's smart. We get a lot of them that's able to outwit these enemies that they're facing. So do you think that was more prized in mythology, in Greek mythology?
I think it all depends on who it was in the situation, and like you said, because something like a story like David and Goliath, like for example, even though it's not Greek mythology, it's about strength and size over wit and being small and agile kind of thing. And I guess it all depends on the situation. But I think the gods, I want to say, would worship more and lust over more the strength aspect and power over being cunning. And
See,
then
that
maybe that,
bugs me out because when you have a character, the real Percy, not Percy Jackson, but Perseus himself, when you think of his story, 90% of him doing his thing was him using intelligence, him being clever, him outwitting the enemy that he was facing, even down to the fact when he faced Medusa. This man went to face Medusa to stop a bigger monster.
yeah, he did. But don't forget, he was a different kind of like situation than Percy Jackson is because he already was using like weapons and stuff like that that the gods gave him. And when it comes to the ones like okay, so he's a demigod, for example, right? So demigods are probably more. It doesn't make a difference if it's the strength or intelligence. I think it's more important that the gods value the balance and the tools needed to maintain the cosmic order. So in that situation, you would be cunning and you would be powerful and be able to use tools. So I think that's where that comes in. But like with raw physical strength and stuff like that, I don't I think it didn't matter. I think it only mattered if you were balanced.
Okay. Now,
to the gods anyway.
We actually might have spoke about this before, but the camp that they have in the book and the show, Camp Half Blood, they
Mhm.
have it like, yeah, it's a summer camp or a day camp or whatever you want to call it, but it's almost like they a family minus the shady ones that's in there. Is that something? Is that something that Greek heroes had? Is that something that you can think of that like was Perseus and Theseus friends? Or, you know what I'm saying? Were they did they have something similar to that in Greek mythology?
Like a camp half blood.
Well, not necessarily like the camp itself, but something where these heroes, where all these mythologies, so that like a point where they all happen to meet, cross paths, or you know what I'm saying, or were these just random sprinkles in the world doing their thing and never cross paths of other people? Like, what, for example, would Perseus knew who Hercules was? Would Theseus knew who Perseus was? You know what I'm saying? Or this is
No,
just something that
no,
randomly is happening in the world.
no. This is that's something that's just happening Rick Rick stuff. There was no such thing as any type of camp or like anything similar to that in Greek mythology.
Well, okay, Chiron. Chiron trained Hercules. And during those stories, Chiron was known as the trainer of heroes or the
Okay.
teacher of heroes.
Hmm.
So, where was he doing this? Or was he just
He was
wandering the countryside like, oh, you're going to be the next hero? Let's go.
no. He lived in a cave.
So, this is what I'm saying. So, did he have a situation where people came to him to train? People came to him to be heroes? Because then
Yes,
that would basically be
Achilles
like
was
a
one
camp.
of them.
But
Jason was one of them. Theseus was another one that went there. But it wasn't like he lived in a cave, right? And he was like the world's ultimate mentor. But he lived on a cave. I want to say it was on Mount Pelion. That's the cave that he lived on, and he only like personally homeschooled or trained the greatest, like just those greatest heroes. It wasn't like he did it to a bunch of people. I want to say it was just those five or, or four.
so those are the only so they were the only people that went in search of him to be trained.
Yes.
So
Yep.
nobody else went to. So this dude just took.
Or they were taken to him, or they were taken to him. Yes. And then they were homeschooled and raised there in that cave.
Ah, that must have been uncomfortable as hell. Imagine having to live with a big ass horse in a little ass cave.
I don't know how little it was, but it was definitely a cave.
You haven't seen? Well, I guess it could have been a huge cave. There's some caves out there that's big.
Maybe it's hollowed out on the inside. I don't know, but that's a big boy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking a big ass centaur, and then whatever demigod is with him. Even if the demigod is, because I'm thinking like a Perseus might have been slim. So even a demigod like Perseus, that's still a big ass horse. You know what I'm saying? A big ass horse. I guess the cave had to be at least as tall as him. Because I doubt this man would have picked a home that he has to be hunched over in his home. So I guess at least at that, at his height at minimum. Okay, so in the show and in the books, there's always the statement glory. Campers want glory. They do this stuff for glory. What did the actual glory mean in ancient Greeks? What were they in search of? And it's funny, that's also something that can equate to the Norse because
Yes.
that's what their whole society was on, this glory, this better thing. Let's go. They really wasn't like farmers and stuff like that. They was like, we're gonna go take this other people's shit and die gloriously. You know what I'm saying? And die
Hmm.
awesomely. So what was glory to these ancient people? And why is it not as bad, a big thing now, I guess?
Well, because glory to them was like an ultimate goal, and it wasn't even called glory back then. It was called something else, like plenos, leos. I don't know, something like that. And it just meant like imperishable glory or immortal flame.
Uh,
And that's all it really meant. And now we don't have no glory at all, let alone imperishable, and then no immortal flame. But there you go with that immortal flame again that Prometheus stole and gave to humans. So that's an example of that's glory.
How many times they gonna punish humans? Isn't they? Didn't they punish them enough with Pandora? Wasn't that a whole setup for us? And dumbass Pandora opened the box.
Yeah, but Pandora was supposed to open the box because all that shit that was in there, there was still hope in there. So God of War kind of got it right when it gave you like the little hope aspect after all the famine opened that Pandora's box and stuff like that, because that's kind of part of the whole mythology of it. But yeah, it's going to release a bunch of shit, but it's going to release actual hope for the world along with it.
So do you think that it was supposed to be open? That's
Yes.
why they gave it to her dumb ass. Like, yeah, we know for a fact she gonna open it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We know her nosy ass is definitely gonna open this box.
Yep. That's pretty much what it is.
So again, in Greek mythology, they seem to emphasize on dying with honor. Actually, in Norse mythology also.
Mhm.
So why was that more important than just living a long, happy life? Because even when we start to see that happening, like with Hercules, something happens. Hera sets him up and he kills his family. Up there goes that happy life. Oh,
Right.
okay, he tries again, starts a new family. They do some dumb shit to his wife, and what she do? She puts some shit on his clothes that horribly burns and poisons him to death. Like, where's the where's the happy life?
Now there's well there culture back then was way different than most of any mythology, let alone theirs was. But it's very similar in the aspect of a glorious death, a beautiful death, uh, a wonderful death. It all means that. And to them, a glorious death or a beautiful death is dying with honor, like for like with for the flame or for your meaning or your purpose. And I also, depending on how you were injured in a fight, also back then. So true honor would require you basically to face your opponent face to face. And if you were brought home dead, for example, and they would immediately expect the wounds on the chest or face, and if they died, like to know they died bravely. But if they were on the back for some reason, they were considered cowardice and absolute shame to their entire lineage. And
Wow.
that's when it came just to fighting. The Spartan mothers famously handed their sons um, kind of like shields. They gave them shields when they returned. They would hand them to them, and they would drop their shields. And if they dropped their shields, like once they handed it to them, it was an ultimate act of cowardice. So they kind of like knew it was just different tests that the Spartans did compared to know how the person was killed and if it was done with honor.
I remember that in 300. Wasn't it something like you return with the shield or on it type of thing? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yep, that's exactly what it is. Yep, you
On some
return
cheat
with the
shit.
shield or on it. Dropping your shield to run faster was an ultimate act of cowardice. Just dropping it, like if you were running, you had to keep it up too.
Kronos. Could Kronos have been prevented from being the tyrant in the story and in mythology if the cycle of violence had been broken? We spoke about that earlier, how Kronos did it to Uranus, Zeus did it to Kronos. And you said actually it might have been a case that it actually happened to Zeus as well.
Right.
Could this all have been changed if that cycle of violence stopped? If Kronos was just like, you know what, whatever, you smack my moms up, whatever, life go on.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if it's an actual thing that it's a curse between them, but I think it's like it's just happened too many times, and they live a long time, man. So that's a long curse that you have fathers betraying their children or wives or whatever, and then their kids are taking over and over and over, and you're over here trying to stop prophecy from happening. It just seems to me like it was prophetic, and they were trying to stop it.
Why do sons constantly overthrow fathers in Greek mythology? That seems to be a reoccurring theme. And actually, that might have happened in other mythology as well. Who took down David? Because I'm pretty sure he wasn't the king forever, was he?
Nah, man. After David, I want to say it was Solomon.
Now, is Solomon a relative of David? Isn't that how that go works as you go down the line?
They're all relatives of David, each and every
That's what
one
I'm
of them.
saying.
From Saul to David to Solomon to all of them are related. They have the same bloodline.
So now, was it something that it was passed down to him, or did he take control? Like, was he like, nah, this shit is mine now, type of thing, or did David step down or die or whatever the case was?
It was both. You had some that would take over to overrule, and you had some that didn't to overrule. It wasn't really a thing like overthrowing, like an overthrowing them, how do I explain it? It's not. It wasn't like a random plot or something like that. You know, the sons overthrowing their fathers wasn't like just a random device and shit like that in Greek mythology. And it's happened in other ones, like kind of, sort of, but not all of them. But it centers around them because they're psychological and physiological reasons. And in the whole tyranny of Uranus and Kronos and the whole like Gaia and all that stuff, it's just like their type of archetype thing when it comes to sons overthrowing their fathers.
Right. So this season two explores trust. Which Greek myth best shows that trusting the wrong person can change history forever?
Oh my God, let me think for a second. There's a lot of them because they all kind of fuck you over. Dang. Do you have one in mind while I think?
That's a good question.
That is a good question because there's several that I can think of. But which one would I choose?
Well, I would probably say, what about the whole Troy thing? All that was entrusted in that chick. Like, oh, there ain't gonna be no issues. He not even gonna realize I'm gone. Yeah, okay. That worked out very well for Paris.
That wasn't smart. That wasn't smart.
You
That
feel me?
wasn't smart at all.
So his dumb ass was trusting her, and basically it destroyed his whole kingdom. You know what I'm saying? He watched his brother get murdered by Achilles. If that was accurate, I don't know if that was accurate from the story, the way they depicted it.
He chose him in the story.
Oh, okay, because I know
Yeah.
the movie depicted it one way, so I didn't know how accurate that was. But so in other words, he watched his brother get horribly murdered by Achilles. He watched numerous people and his, people he knew get murdered in this war. Then right when they think they won and these people left, he with these dumbasses, hey, bring it in the kingdom, yeah. And now you watch your whole fucking kingdom get burned to the ground, basically from inside.
That was a great plan, man. That's what I thought you were going to bring up in the first place when you started talking about the whole Troy thing, the whole aspect of the Trojan horse, and then letting them in and just fucking
But
the
you
whole
know what?
world up.
While that was a great plan, if you think about it, what they did was grimy.
Yeah,
Because at that time there was rules when it was about the gods. You know what I'm saying? Like there was stuff that you wouldn't do. So
yeah, it
yeah,
was considered
you're
like
my enemy, and we was just at war, but we won. The war's over. You're leaving. You're going back home. Y'all leaving and going back home. You put an offering to Poseidon, so y'all had a safe trip. How dare me as a people disrespect that offering? You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why they brought it in. They brought it in because Troy at that time was a big thing with Poseidon and a big thing with Athena. So they brought it in honor.
yeah.
They brought it in because it was a gift to Poseidon to bless these people on their trip home. Yeah, we just had a war with them, but we don't got no animosity toward them. Let them get their safe trip home.
And we're gonna cuff this because it's ours now.
Well, yes, but not just that. We're gonna take this and bring it to the temple and show the god the praise that they deserve. We won this war because of these gods. You know what I'm saying? At least that's what they're thinking in their head.
Yeah,
So of
tribute.
course you would bring, yeah, you tribute. That's the word I'm thinking. So of course you would bring this in and give it its just due. You would give it its flowers. You would show its tribute because in your mind this was a gift for this god. And these motherfuckers knew that would be the case because this is something that would happen all the time. You would whatever happened during this battle, what happened during this battle. The people that died died. There was even times that they would stop the fight and let you take your bodies. So
Hmm.
there was a lot of honor back then.
Yeah, there was.
So, you know what I'm saying? So what they actually did at that point was some real dishonorable shit. You know what I'm saying? It was some real dishonorable shit. It was akin to the first time guns was brought into war.
It was some type of war crime for sure. I just don't know what they would have called it back then.
This is what I'm saying though. Think about it. Think about that first time guns was involved in war. You standing there face to face, a couple thousand people. Half the side pull out swords, the other half pull out these muskets and just shoot. You know how quick that battle went? You know what I'm saying? You know how fast that shit went? That motherfucker shot one bullet, turned around and walked off. The whole line of swordmen fell dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's over. That was what they did right there because that was unheard of at that time.
Yeah,
And they knew. They was like, yo, we're gonna build this and we're gonna build it hollow. Hollow, why are we building it hollow? Because we're gonna be inside it. But why would we be inside it? All they're gonna do is bring it in and oh, you know what I'm
oh,
saying?
that's
And then they
yeah,
realize, like, oh, sounds good to me. But that just shows you how grimy these people was. What was it? Agamemnon and them?
Agamemnon. Yeah,
Yeah, that just show how grimy this was. He was like, yeah, that's exactly what we gonna do. They dumb. They gonna pull us in. They gonna pray. And when they get drunk and celebrate and do tribute, we gonna kill all of their asses. We gonna kill all their asses. They all gonna be done.
yeah.
All over Shorty, who was like, oh, they're not even gonna notice I'm gone. So that's why I said to me, that was the wrong person to trust.
I would have
She
left them
had
in
a
there.
whole, I can't say a race because I don't think it was could be considered a race, but she had a whole city of people destroyed over her ass.
No, they were a race. They were the Trojans because it was the Spartans against the Trojans.
But it was they're all Greek though. I know. So
Well,
is
I
it a
mean, yeah,
race? The race
they're
is
all
Greek.
Greek, but they're still like from Troy, so they'll be like Chicago and like New York and like, I guess you could say something like that maybe. They were Greek. They were the same race, but I guess they were just from different countries or parts of the fucking Greece. But I guess you're right. They were gang banging back then, man. That's all they were.
That's a fact, right? That's a fact. And look, see, that's what happened. Your man Achilles was crip walking, and look, they got his ass. He lifted up that foot. Ha! Got him.
Oh,
Got him.
the
Who took
motherfucker was
that shot? Was it really Paris? Because I know that's how they depicted it in the movie, but was
no
that actually the
Paris
lift?
takes the shot in the mythologies too. Paris, yeah, Paris kills him. But he
See,
kills
no
Hector
wonder.
the same way, but it's not the same thing because he doesn't have a cousin named Petrolus that gets killed by Hector in the story.
Oh, so that part was for the movie. That just
That
made
part was for the movie,
to
right?
make
But he
Hector
does,
look like an asshole.
yeah, but he does after he kills, like when he does call him and tell him to come out, that happened, and then Hector does fight him. But instead
So
of
why did he do that? Was he really chasing that fame like they made it look like in the movie?
Hector or Achilles,
Achilles. Because like why would he go to the door and be like, yo, come down
no,
if there was no cousin?
he went over there just to end the war between them two. You know how back in those days they would just have the strongest fight instead of the army
Oh, so that
all the
was
time.
accurate how they did it in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah,
When they
yeah,
was like,
that's
yo, go get Achilles, and he was sleeping with like four bitches, but they called him in and it was a one-on-one.
oh hell yeah, that's 100% accurate. If they say no men should die, like in Game of Thrones and shit like that, it should just be you and I, and you agree. That's it. Whoever wins that fight, the fucking the war's over. So that's exactly what happened. And then when Hector came out to fight him, they fought and stuff like that. He didn't trip over a rock like in this anything like that. It was a battle back and forth, and it was like a one of the fiercest battle that Achilles ever been in. And he beat him fair and square because he got tired. But you know how in the movie they kind of like drag him. He drags him back to the camp,
Yeah, like
and
some disrespectful shit. That really
and
went
then
down?
what it was worse because he dragged him around the whole thing until his body was like full of fucking dust, and then took him back.
Damn.
And then the father had to go back and actually get his body from Achilles, and he gave it to him. That part was true.
Oh, so at least Achilles wasn't an asshole then. He
No, he
just,
wasn't.
but now here's my question.
That was
In the
all Agamemnon.
movie,
Uh,
they made him do it because of what happened to his cousin. So why
Correct.
the fuck he did it in the first place then?
Because
If there was no cousin.
Agamemnon's the one that forced him to go to the fucking to go fight the war anyway. So he's the one that sent him to go
Ah,
over there in the first place to end it
so it
without bloodshed.
wasn't it wasn't him himself being the shady person. It was him following orders type of thing.
Correct. Yeah, because he was a soldier. He was the greatest soldier back then. So he listened to his king, and he didn't. They didn't have that little attitude that they had in the movie. Kind of that was just for show. They weren't really that bad in the books of the Odyssey or Homer's or Iliad. They're not really that bad. They depicted like they had some type of quarrel and shit like that, like bad blood. I guess so he can kind of like make it seem like he's gonna turn on him or something in the movie. I don't know, but yeah, it was something like that.
And okay, if Percy joined Jason and the Argonauts instead of rocking with Annabeth and Tyson, how different would that story be, you think? You think would he be able to hang with them? Because those are some true warriors there.
Man, I would like to see that. I think it would teach him a lot. I think he can learn a lot, but I don't think he can. I don't think he can do it right now.
Was there any demigods on that crew?
Yeah,
Was Jason was a demigod?
no, it was on in the Garnets or whatever you call them.
I'm talking about Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, the Argonauts. Yeah, the Argonauts were they were all demigods.
So Jason and the Argonauts, they were all demigods.
No, I'll tell you right now. I'm trying to remember their names.
Yeah, because I know they was definitely broke down. I forgot their
Yeah,
names too,
there's
but
like
you knew
four of
all of
them.
them.
There's four of them that were Argonauts that were demigods.
You actually said one of the names earlier because they mentioned it also on the show when he was like, "Oh, we'll help you get there." And she turned around, "I don't need you." And she said his name. So and so was an Argonaut. Fuck wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you.
The Argonauts.
But then Annabeth was gangster. She ended up bodying him. She was like, "Oh, now he dead. Now what you gonna do?" Excuse me. In the book and the show, they
Orpheus.
keep
That's what I was trying to remember what I said. It was Orpheus. Orpheus and Hercules and Peleus was one of them.
ah
And then you had the the twins, the Dioscuri. I think it was Castor was the horse,
Castor. Castor. I think that was the one she said. She's like,
and
"This is
then there was
Castor. He was an Argonaut. He rode with Jason and they bodied his ass." Boop.
and then there was one that was a boxer. Damn it, Pollux. I don't remember his
Ah,
name.
yes. Cassius and Pollux. Yes. You good, brother. You good.
I'm trying to
Um,
remember the girl. There was a girl. She was a huntress, but she was blessed by Artemis, but I can't remember her name right now. I want to say something like Atlanta, but it's not Atlanta.
that means she was a virgin because Artemis only blessed the virgins. That was Artemis's thing, the maiden forever. She said, "I'm the maiden forever."
hmm That's man, what was her name? I want to say it was like Atlanta. Atlanta? I don't fucking don't know. I sound like a fool. It was. I think it was like Atlanta or something like that. Close to Atlanta, but not Atlanta.
Mm. And okay, so Percy Jackson seems to bring up the same monsters, the same creatures keep returning. Like they keep that was something like when they first explained to Percy when he got to the camp that there's certain quests that come up. And these quests seem to be similar quests to what we know in mythology. So they're not saying that Percy Jackson is living these mythologies in modern time. They're saying this is his turn at these monsters, so to speak. Is that something that they made seem possible? Because it almost was like in the mythologies, I feel like these Hercules killed the monster, it was killed. Hercules snapped the mini and lion's neck. That shit was dead. He wore the cloak or the
Mhm.
fur or whatever. It wasn't something that, a year later, up, that shit back again. You know what I'm saying? That shit came back. So is that how is that? Is that something that they mention? Because I can't think of it. You know
No, it
mythology
was
better than me.
so the difference between the show and the books is that the hero's journey that they depict is more solo when it comes to real Greek mythology, and it's like an ultimate test. But Percy Jackson treats it like more of a team-based, mm, like I don't even know how to describe it, military, like a team-based regulated military deployment, like suicide missions, oscillated politics, ancient myths. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay.
I can't. I'm trying to like what other way I can try to describe it. It like it's just it's like a groomed, regulated team team um effort as opposed to Hercules going to do it by himself. Perseus is going to do it by himself, and all the other ones who all the most of the stuff they did alone. That's the pretty much the difference between the Greek and the lore of Percy Jackson, how they treat the quests.
So if Jason and the Argonauts are all demigods, are they all Zeus's kids?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they could. I don't think he is he. Is he even Zeus's kid? I don't even think he's even Zeus's kid, bro. To be honest, in real mythology.
Really? Wow. Because it's funny, Jason in the books, because they give us a Jason, he's Zeus's kid, but he's not Zeus's kid, Zeus.
Yeah,
He's
you're talking.
Zeus's
So
kid.
he's the Roman form Zeus's. Yeah,
Exactly.
they changed it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but no, that's in the Roman form. But like, no, there
What
is
is it,
no
Jupiter? I think it's Jupiter.
Jupiter. Jupiter would be considered. That's why he gets you have Zeus and then you have Jupiter. Take the J from Jupiter and then put Zeus, the E U S, and what do you get?
Jupiter?
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
You didn't notice that? That's what it is. You take Jupiter and Zeus and you take away and you put them together like and then you get the J and it says Jesus. That's where you get it from. Isis. Isis is another one. And then you have Jesus. You take the I for and then Isus. So then they use the J. So that really means Jupiter Zeus.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he is actually the demigod of the Roman aspect of Zeus, which would be Jupiter, like you just said right now. He's not the son of Zeus in Greek mythology. It all that's the way Percy Jackson's universe works. Like he writes it like that, so it's kind of a confusion.
It's funny. We spoke about how there was like laws against gods assisting humans or gods dealing in human lives. You've seen Prometheus get punished. We've seen a few different punishments get spewed out. Helios is for one. So
Mhm.
if that was the case, why in a lot of these myths we see these same gods interfering in human lives? We see actually in a lot of the myths that's basically what these myths is telling you, oh man, this god did this, oh don't be doing this because this god did that. So it seemed like they interfere more than this law, this contract allows them to, you would assume.
It's it's different how they. how they did things back then when it came to that type of stuff, man. It's like I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest, because they fluctuate. They fluctuated back and forth and changed, and then they try to make themselves more like superior and good compared to their Greek counterparts, and just change the name or whatever. But they were all kind of like the same and stuff like that. And when you have all these mythologies that have been changed, like for example, Jason's whole depiction of him, people who watch the show who don't know or haven't seen that he's the Roman form of Zeus, that they're gonna go back and, like I just mentioned not that long ago, and say Jason didn't have is not the son of Zeus. He didn't have kids. And I can tell you that probably the reason why that they call him family or whatever is because he's the younger brother of Talia.
Ah,
So
you think
so
that's where they're gonna go with
so
it?
yeah, and so technically she's the father, she's the daughter of Zeus and their brother and sister. So I think that's how they're gonna tie it together. I
Now,
could
here's
be
my
wrong.
question: would they still be brother and sister, even though the forms of Zeus are different?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. He could take so many different forms. He's like, it don't matter. He's still Zeus. When he banged it, when he
So now, is he still
the pool,
Zeus or is he still Jupiter?
in the show.
Well, I'm talking about in mythology in general. We
Oh,
know we know Zeus is Zeus for the Greeks, and we know Zeus is Jupiter for the Rome.
right.
So,
Like basically the
but-
king of the gods. And
yes,
yeah,
but which is the true form? Which is the actuality of this form, of this entity?
none of them
Really? So you think it might be something even different, more different?
more different. So I'll tell you who I think Zeus is. I think Zeus is a Sumerian god called Enlil, the thunder god.
Ah, so now we talking like
Sumerian, because
Enki and all that stuff.
Enki would be Poseidon. Enki
Ah,
would be Poseidon, and Lil would be Zeus, and then Anu would be like Kronos. And if you go to like Norse mythology, Odin had three brothers that came down and slayed a giant and made Midgard out of him, right? So them three brothers were Odin, and then he had his other two brothers with him. Those are his interpretations of Enki and Lil himself. Because you have their trinity was Anu and Lil and Enki. Those were the three gods that were from Nibiru or Planet X, and Enki was the one that came allegedly here to Eridu and did what he did first, and then the whole war and between families happened because that's how allegedly we got the titles of kings and duchesses and all that royalty stuff. It was based on the ones who came from above, and they pretty much took human life, just like they said, and created Homo sapiens sapiens, and everything has been same. The translation and everything has been switched, throughout time, and
well,
Akkadian, and Syrian, and then Buddhism, and you just keep on going and going and going.
of
But they're
course.
all elements of the same thing, and
Think
it all
about it like
originated.
this. Think about it like this. You remember that game we used to play in school, telephone?
Yep.
We
But
couldn't get the same word 20 kids deep. What you think gonna happen to shit 20,000 years later? You know what I'm saying? That shit gonna be
exactly.
all obscured. We could get all of it wrong.
Hmm.
These motherfuckers, this shit could be all accurate, and we just fucked it up. You know what I'm saying? We just through the years, because a lot of this shit got written at some point, yes, but before that point, we got centuries upon centuries of word of mouth only because there was no writing. What writing? What the fuck you mean writing on what? A rock? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna
That's
write on this
exactly
rock.
where on caves and rocks. That's what they were written on.
Exactly. But I'm talking about even before that, when the actual idea of writing something was unheard of. What you mean, right? What is that?
Tablets. They used to use tablets. The
That's what
emerald,
tablet is when we started doing that.
what the
But
emerald tablets, or tablets as in like us today.
well, tablets as like the Book of Enoch was found. These scrolls, this stuff
Right.
of that, at that time. But this stuff came from before that. A lot of this stuff, you know what I'm trying to say? Like this stuff happened,
When
and these are
technology was like it's way better than it was now, and it got reset, and we didn't know about it, that type shit.
as well. Exactly. This is what I'm saying, and we
So I
see
think
this
there's like
all
a
over the place.
supercomputer that they had way before in the beginning of time, and we got dumbed down. Pretty much is what happened.
Or supposedly that's a whole different story because now you talking conspiracies as far as the fluoride in the water and all that stuff to stop our pineal glands, and now
Well,
you're
that
getting to
that
that level.
definitely is a part of it too. But I'm just talking about just technology in general. Like a lot of people,
Let
they
me
can
ask you
have.
this: to
Or
you, is magic real?
I think magic and technology are the same. That we just don't know. We just don't know that they're the same because we haven't been to the beginning of time where technology ruled everything, and then we had to be dumbed down to fucking cavemen. They had, I don't think anything was invented right now or before. It's mocked in something from before, whether it's technology from not here or something that was ancient a long time ago that they hid and they just like do it for themselves. It's not nothing's original.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense because I was the other day I was watching a YouTube show and they were talking about like this ancient civilization and these ruins that they found, and they researching and they digging stuff up, and they're finding shit that they're like astonished
You're
that
talking
they're
about the pyramids or like Gobekli Tepe,
I'm not even
the
going to try to
Gobekli
pronounce
Tepe,
that.
or
Yeah,
yeah,
like
they have. There's a lot of stuff they've been finding for years there, longest time.
they're like astonished though because first off they're like, when this shit was built, we weren't building shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit right there blew the scientists' mind. They're like, no, you don't understand. When this was built, we shouldn't have been building shit. We
Right.
should have still been chasing cattle. And you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is this? Like this shouldn't be here. But then as they're digging and as they're finding stuff that they're like, yo, how they even have this at this point? Not just the fact that they built this big structure and this structure can house X amount of thousand people, and but the fact that they had shit going on in there. They had fucking ventilation. They had all type of shit that they're like, yo, these people should have been hunter gatherers. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? And it makes you think because is it just that this group of people had this intelligent, or did this group of people have assistance, whether it be by these gods,
Both.
angels, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever way you want to look at it.
I think it was given to them, and that's how they learned it. Look at the pyramids. I mean, a lot of the like the pyramids of Giza and all the other ones, that they're going through now, and they're finding all those coils that lead down to water, and that water turns into hot steam, and then you have the gold tips that were on once upon a time. Well, there's your freaking Tesla coil right there. You're talking about you got your coils and you got your metal connected to a stream of hot water that's going to rise up to a pot of gold. What do you think that's do? That's energy.
And that's funny because Tesla actually built some shit that could give free energy, and they shut that shit
And
down.
they shut that shit down either. The same thing
Yeah,
they're going
free
to do.
energy. What, you fucking drunk?
We can't do that. We got to sell all the oil up in this mofo.
Exactly. What, are
You
you
already know.
drunk? Free energy. Somebody take this man money. This man's a Looney Tune. You know what I'm saying? This man. But what do you mean? This will be the best for the universe. This could power cities and it. No, 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 no. Get this man out of here. And that man died in squalor because he was trying to see what you, and that's why people are assholes in the world, because people that try to do good, look, what about that dude that built the engine that ran on water? Where that
I was
man
just
at?
about, I was just about to say that right now too. That brother got poisoned, feared for his life. That shit's completely just flipped and said, "We're not doing it." And it's like, come on, man. Like
Petro.
you know damn well that's for money. They don't want. They want to
100%
make sure that it's just fucking. We can't get paid. We can't have free energy and have them driving on water. Are you kidding me? This is America.
driving
That's
on water. How much
motherfucker.
money can we make off of that? But what do you mean? Well, when you go to the gas station, how will we charge you for that? No, gas station. What are you talking about? They fill it up at their house with the hose. Oh no, this man is crazy. Take this man. Take
Yeah,
this
no, that
man
ain't
out.
that ain't happening.
Take this man out. Same thing they did allegedly with Dr. Sebi and all that. Look, this plant right here cures AIDS. This plant right here cures cancer. This plant right here cures this, that, that. And they're like, wait a second, cures. So they're not gonna need medicine no more? Nah.
Oh, we can't have that.
Oh, wait a second. And then they start doing the math. Not just they not gonna need medicine no more. How much we make off of AIDS? Damn, it's like $1,000 a pill. They need 30 pills a month. And that's every month for the rest of their life. Or we can give them this plant and they don't need nothing. Yeah, nah, we gonna kill this dude too. We gonna kill this dude too. This dude done lost his mind. He gotta
That's
go.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then they're like, well, guess what? If this doesn't make it worse, the other side effects and the other shit of the medication will give him something else, and then he's fucked
And
even
we
worse.
get him again, and we get him
Exactly.
on that side. It's a no. That's why they say sometime when you go to your doctor and the doctor and you like, all right, doc, I got you. Sometimes they say do your own research on what the because sometimes you turn around and be like, wait a second, that don't even make sense. So you giving me this for high blood pressure, but this is telling me that I'm gonna need some other shit soon because this fucks up my bladder. You know what I'm saying? Like what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Or the
And
worst ones the worst ones that they give you something for your blood pressure, but it can give you high blood pressure. Those those are the fucking worst ones if you fucking
nah,
good with
but
it.
that tells you the hustle, brother. That shit is all a G. All right, so looking at only Greek mythology, who do you actually think was the most honorable Olympian, or were they all grimy? Because I would have said Athena, but then I heard the Medusa story, so I'm not saying so much. Then I would have said Poseidon, but then again, I heard the Medusa story, and I'd have been like, not so much.
Man, Hades, man, believe it or not, I would go with Hades. And next to him it would be Poseidon. Would probably be the two best.
Hades kidnapped Persephone
Yeah.
and held
That's
her
okay.
against her will.
It's all
That's
right.
one psycho. That's one red flag.
They're all psychos. But go
And
ahead.
Poseidon, that's what I'm getting at. And Poseidon snatched up a Medusa because she looked good. Like, ooh, look at, I'm gonna tear that shit up. And he sure as hell did. No matter what she was screaming.
Fortunately, he did. Hades was probably the best out the group. People just feared him because he was mostly feared. I've said this before. I'll say it again. He's mostly feared because of the title of being like the underworld and stuff like that. But he wasn't like Zeus was. He actually cared about his the little children that he had, and Poseidon cared about all his children and would protect all of them. It didn't matter. He was just they all had their way when it came to cycle shit. When it came to women, if you know what I mean, they had to have their way, and that's all over the pantheon. It didn't make a difference if you. Athena did the same thing too. So did Aphrodite.
Fair enough. So what's the biggest mythology change in season 2 that you feel actually improves the story compared to the myths? If
Oh,
any.
that's a good question. Ah, yes. Honestly, I would have to say it. I don't have one for that. I don't
That's
think it
fair
did.
enough.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
fair
think.
enough. That's a very good possibility that it didn't. I probably don't think it improved too much on the stories neither. I felt that in some cases it might have dumbed down the stories a little bit for the reader.
I think it was filling it like a filler. You know
And
what I
then I
mean?
that's what I was gonna say also. In some cases it was dumbing down for the reader. Because remember, these ain't, you know, 21 and older books. These are teenager books, you know what I'm saying? So he's dumbing down these mythologies a little bit for these younger readers. And like you just said, I feel like he's, doing his own little thing to it also.
A little twist there.
If the Olympians suddenly appeared today, exactly as described in the mythologies that you know, not Percy Jackson, but in real mythology,
Okay,
do you think humanity would worship them or fear them?
they fear them. I think mostly all of them will fear them. Even
Well,
if they
so
knew everything that I knew, I think they would fear all of them.
I sure would. These creatures of some sort, that because that's how I'm gonna look at them. These creatures of some sort that's able to change size and have immense power, strength, and seem to be immune and immortal. And it's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Especially if they show any aggression.
And
If they
then
came
no,
peacefully, I'd be skeptical. If they came with aggression, that's like if Superman came and he was bad. There ain't too much you're gonna do. So now you ducking low and you hoping they don't notice you. You know what I'm saying? You staying low, staying quiet. Hopefully he don't hear me. You know what I'm saying? Type shit.
I don't know. Not for me, man. I think it's the same shit as we're living in now. The same thing as a skinwalker, a Wendigo, or any other cryptic you see around here.
So
Or
you
for the
think
ones,
they're still out, that there's still Greek gods out there walking around. There's still shit out there like this
oh
that we
yeah.
hear in these stories. There's still minotaurs and centaurs somewhere. If so, where? We
Well,
basically populated almost the majority of the world.
I'll give you one guess. I'll give you two guesses, and the first one don't count. What do you think? What is the only place in this goddamn world that every fucking nation has a treaty at? Dun dun
So you
dun.
thinking that you talking Antarctica.
That's right.
So you thinking Antarctica is just centaurs and unicorns and all type of shit like that.
I wouldn't say centaurs and unicorns because that's not their what they're called. But I'll tell you that they are different life forms in there. There is hollow inner earth in that area. There are different type of abdominal snowman looking yetis, but that are white.
Well,
And then
see,
there's
Witch's Brew makes a good point right now in the chat. She says, I think of it like the TV show Grimm, which was also a great show. They are glamored in some way. So, in other words, we might be dealing with these things on a daily basis, and we just don't know that these things is what they are.
and that's true because there are things that are
Supernatural
glamorous.
portrayed it like that also. I don't know if you followed that TV show Supernatural, but they came
No.
across some of these gods, Odin, and some of these, you know, saying, and what it was is because their power and their godhood, so to speak, was based off of our belief. As our belief dwindled, so did their power.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that they're not there, that they're not still godly, that they don't have some power, you know, is just not to the level of when they were at the height of worship, so to speak. And that's funny because American Gods also kind of plays off of that a little bit. That there's hundreds of gods.
Yeah, they do kind of like if you don't believe even Sandman, if you don't believe in some of them, the Sandman, they kind of lose. Besides,
Now,
like
this,
desire in them.
yeah, no, but see that I was just about to say the Sandman, yes and no, because the Sandman and them, it almost seemed like to me that their power was absolute in their realm.
Yeah, only in their realm.
But now you had somebody like Death, that realm was everywhere.
Well, he could. Well, he was the only one I think that can go anywhere.
Well,
Like,
she at the time, that was the black chick towards
well,
the end of it.
yeah, she.
But
she was
and then you had the other chick that was also going everywhere, the crazy one that would always come late.
was she even? I thought she was human.
No, they that last damn, what was her name? Because they was all based off of something. You had
Oh, you're
Dream,
talking about the sister. Okay, I thought you meant the other one. Oh yeah. You're talking about Delirium.
Delirium. There we go.
She
She
was
was
the one that
able
was
to
kind of
kind of
like witty and shit, but she did travel, yeah, with a dog. With a
correct.
woman.
And then you
Yeah.
seen Death traveling, and then not only that, you seen Desire traveling. You didn't see
Yeah.
the fat one moving around too much, which I can't remember what was her name.
No, she
Despair?
stayed. Despair. Yes. She stayed a lot. Yeah, she was just quiet. She's the one that had the prophetic stuff. She was always nerviosa, nervous.
Yeah, yeah. And then you had Desire, which bugged me out the way they played it. It was a
But
dude, unless I was totally off and it was a mannish chick, but I took it as a dude, but
I think it was.
was really playing heavy on female tendencies. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was one scene, homie had like some lingerie type of skirt on.
Yep. Because
You know what I'm
desire
saying?
doesn't have a gender. I think that
Exactly. Like there was no gender, like she or better yet, gender fluid. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
exactly.
whatever way is
Yep.
what way it was type thing. Which we also might get into this show, that show also on this, because those are also very good shows to talk mythology on.
Oh, there, the Sandman's great. I thought that was a great show. I enjoyed that one very much. American Gods is awesome. I liked it
Now,
too.
okay, now let me ask you this. You have like a Percy Jackson setup, modern world, these gods still exist. Then you have American gods, modern world, these gods still exist. How do you think it would be? Or actually, the show we just mentioned, Modern Sandman, Modern World, God still exists. What do you think could be possibly right? Or do you think they all way off?
I don't think they're all way off. I think that they got stuff right. I just think people have to figure it out. And I think one of them is, I just want to say this right away. No, I was I was born, Catholic and shit like that, and raised in Jesus and all that good stuff back in the day. And I, in my opinion, the Christ consciousness of the sun god and opening up your pineal gland with your kundalini is what they're trying to tell you, from my perspective. So if you think of it like that, they're all telling you that we're greater than what we are, and we can just unite our left and right hemispheres of our brains, which is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, and have our fluids come up from the root chakra, which is the bottom of the spinal cord, going all the way up to your cranium, then going back down. That's all a representation of Christ consciousness, opening up your third eye. But people don't see that allegory in the
So you feel
scripture.
we're the God, so to speak.
I know we are. I know we're the gods. Once we open up our third eye, and that's why they fear us. That's why they want us to reset. They know that the certain people ain't going to be able to do it, and there's going to be a time where we're going to have to segregate ourselves, even if we're on the same astral. I mean, the same physical planes, so to speak. So, for example, you're going to see things in maybe 3D, and I can see things above, but it's not going to make a difference because we're still going to be on the same Earth type deal. So that's where true perspective comes in. Because if I look at the sky and see dragons and angels and fairies and shit, you'll think of me as I'm crazy. And then you'll look up and just see the sun and the stars and shit. And that's just your base normal. But then if you go up and were to, let's say, astral project, for example, and look at the sky, someone who sees in 3D will see the globe as round, and someone who's in 4D will see it as a fishbowl, kind of like curved up with like no walls and a torus field around it, and it just goes up. The more higher your frequency is, you'll see different things. It's an illusion. That's what real perspective is. So if people
So
see, go ahead.
so basically, if you figured out, because I'm sure there's probably a way if this is accurate. So if you figured out how to unlock your pineal gland, your third eye, whichever way you want to go with it.
Okay.
So do you now see this stuff that they spoke about back in the days, this stuff that these myths come from, and they're
Yes.
still there? It's just we can't see them. Like the
Yes.
witches Bruce said in the chat, is kind of a glamour on this stuff. Percy
Some of it.
Jackson touched on it too. They called it the mist. That's why when
It's
people looked at Cyclops, the Cyclops Tyson, they didn't see a Cyclops. They saw a dude with regular eyes, walking down the street. Even when it was more grotesque, like when it was the Minotaur hunting, or when we seen other like Medusa, it wasn't the horrid monster that you heard you seen in the mist. It was the mist made it something that the eyes made it easier to accept.
Right.
Even though that horrid monster that they depicted in these myths is what this person or what this thing is just our mind can't wrap around that now.
Mhm, exactly. And it's a combination of that, a combination of people being some of them entities or deities, whatever you want to call them. They're camouflage and glamour, like she said. And it's also that some of them are interdimensional beings, and you're not going to be able to unless you open it up anyway. So it's kind of like the movie They Live with Roddy Piper when they
That
put
was
them
a great
glasses.
old movie. Dan, you blowing up your age, brother. I'm gonna have to change this thumbnail and throw some gray in the beer, man. I don't know. You just blew it up. That was a great
Roddy
old
Piper.
school piece of shit movie, kid. That fight scene with him and the black dude, which I can't remember his name right now,
I can't
was
remember his name
classic. They fought for about 10 minutes, all for him to still put the damn glasses on. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The whole
He
fight
was
was
the
like,
best.
no,
He
I'm
made
not
him
putting
put
them
it
on.
on. Beat him to put him on. That's what happened. But that was, yeah, that was good. That was good. But those were, just in case the people who don't know who's watching, those were supposed to be reptilians.
Really? That was a
Yes,
horror. Thinking like that, that was a horrible depiction of a reptilian. I
it
took it
was.
as some kind of like skeleton being.
That's what I thought. I thought they were like zombies or something. No, but they were supposed to be reptilians.
Look, look,
And
look,
just
Witches Brew.
imagine that being a regular basis.
Witches Brew
Because
just threw the great quote. I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all
I'm
out of
all out
bubble
of bubble gum.
gum. But how would you react in that situation? Keep it funky. You
I would have put the
realize,
glasses on. But then
no, I'm
again,
saying you put them on. This is what I'm saying. You put them glasses on and you realize the whole world as you know it ain't as you know it. And and you realize, okay, like now on this planet, they say there's over 8 billion people. Let's just say 8 billion. So you realize out of 8 billion people in the world that you grew up in and you came to know as an adult, only 30% is actual human. The rest of this 8 billion is these alien entities, these creatures of some sort that clearly when you put these glasses on, you realize is not human. What are you doing?
well, me and Roddy Piper are gonna low key go to the bar, have a drink, smoke a fat one, and figure out what the hell we're gonna do about it. Because I'm not the type that's gonna look through the glasses and right after I look and notice all these things looking at me, I'm not the one to panic and be like, no, or
Well,
scream.
not
I'm gonna
even
look.
about panic, but do you do something about it? They
Oh yeah, for
clearly
sure.
what no, but they clearly wasn't bothering you.
No, they weren't. I mean, in that case, see, the thing is, when you know. Back then, I didn't know shit. So let's just think. Let's put myself in the shoes back then when I'm not knowing nothing and I'm just shocked as old boy is, and I'm putting the glasses on. I get my ass up and put them on, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, "Holy shit, you're right." My plan is, what we got to think. What are we going to do? Well, okay, if this is a reptilian race and these are aliens here, then they have been here, must have been here a long time ago. So common sense would have to come in. You have to play it out in your freaking head, and then eventually you're going to realize you're going to be outnumbered no matter what. What can you do?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Witches brew is saying they want to enslave us and take over. No, but you got
They
to think
already have.
about it. There, I was just about to say that. That's no longer an invasion. At the time with Rowdy Piper and they live, they were invaded.
Yeah, they already lived among them.
Everybody, everywhere your man turned, not only were the aliens chilling, walking through, shopping like regular people. When your man looked up and was looking at the billboards, the damn billboards was for the aliens.
Everything. It was their world. They just didn't realize it, so they put those glasses on that they're
This is
supposed
what I'm saying. And it was no up until he realized and he became the aggressor, they wasn't bothering nobody. So who was the bad one in that movie? Who was the actual antagonist? Was it the aliens or was it Rowdy and his crew?
to. It was Rowdy and his crew disrupting what they already did when they terraformed the planet.
That's what I'm saying. It's too late. It's not like I would understand it a little better in a situation like War of the Worlds, that Tom Cruise joint,
Yeah, I remember that
because
classic.
they came and just started lighting shit up. This is a war. Oh shit. We gotta fight. I can get that. But putting on glasses, that Rowdy Piper's what, 30 maybe? Let's say 25. Let's give, because it was years ago. So let's say he was 25 at the time.
I still think that's being generous. He might have been in his 30s, but I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
go
he
ahead.
might have been, but let's say 20. Let's say 30 flat. Let's say 30. So that's a 30-year-old man that put on them glasses for whatever reason and realized that the world is aliens, but realized to the point that it's so ingrained that they, like you said, they clearly been here longer than when I put these glasses on. This isn't a they just got here. You know what I'm saying? And they're taking over. I remember he looked at a lady because I remember he took the glasses on and off, like, what the fuck? And when he looked at the lady was sitting there and was like buying vegetables or something. Do 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 do. Until she looked at him and saw the look on his face and realized, oh shit. You know what I'm
Oh, this
saying?
is
Like,
blown.
yeah, oh shit. Wait a second. That's when it became an issue. But up until then, if that man would have minded his business or he would have never put them glasses on, it would have kept on like every day because they probably landed there so long ago and been so ingrained that, and that's allegedly what they say is actually the case with the reptilians now, that they so ingrained that it's a right. And it's funny, the show The Y Files actually allegedly had a interview with a female reptilian, and she was amused because she was like, we watch what y'all, the stuff y'all depict us. And she laughed and she's like, y'all depict us with these masks and this skin mask and human faces. That's how we blend in. She was like, nah. She was like, our minds are to the level that we make y'all see us how we
You want
want y'all to see us.
yeah. They
And she's
vibrate at a vibration higher than us. They can make it. Yep. You can just walk away
and
from something else.
yeah, and she's like telling the interviewee, she's like, the only reason I'm allowing you to see me in this reptilian form is because I'm allowing you. And he was like, well, how would I, if you didn't allow me, how would I see you? And she's like, oh, well, I usually like to be a young blonde that's, so and so, so. And he's just like, what? And she's like, and it's funny because y'all can do it as well. She's like, it's just y'all don't, or y'all don't know how, or y'all don't understand. It was like something like of that nature, like y'all don't understand. But if, like, he
Is
was like,
that
oh, okay, go
is
for
that the same? Is that the same interview where she's talking to the dude about that one, like a one last interview, and she explains that they were there before and they watched the Anunnaki create
it. Yes,
mankind, and
yes,
then she explained that they started doing it for them as well. So those are the reptiles. So remember that planet Tiamat that allegedly in back in the old Sumerian stories, there was a planet called Tiamat that
that's
cracked
the
that
shit that exploded or whatever the case was.
yeah, and then you had either a story of Marduk defeating the great dragon Tiamat. That's the whole planet Tiamat and the asteroid belt colliding to each other, and then that planet allegedly there was a debris of planet that became the Earth. So when they say in mythology that there was a Titan that was slayed, and half of it would became the sea, and half of it became the world, they're talking about that whole explosion or the planets colliding because half of that planet of Tiamat is what's known as Ki, and that's modern day Earth. That's why
Yeah.
there's no way in hell it could be a sphere because it's a piece of a broken planet
And it's funny
in
you said
description.
that because I remember watching something on YouTube and I was like, yo, that's bugged out. But they was mentioned, that's where I learned about Tiamat and the fact that the asteroid belt is what's left of this super planet. They said this shit was
Yeah,
huge.
it was
And
gold and everything.
yeah, and they said it was so huge that Earth is a portion of it, of what's left that formed Earth. And they were
And
able to
drifted.
realize this because these motherfuckers was digging, and this is also how they realized that this planet was so old that was destroyed, that there was life on it. They were digging, uh looking for whatever they were looking for, bones, whatever these motherfuckers dig for. And they found, allegedly, and I'm sitting there watching this like, I don't know if I believe this shit, but they allegedly found items that would have been from Tiamat that allegedly somehow got like, whatever happened in the destruction got buried and like fossilized in
Yeah,
this
underneath the
destruction.
ground and shit. Yeah.
Exactly. And it
And
was,
then the
it
flood
was
and the
small
mud floods
shits.
and all that shit got covered up with it as well throughout time.
Exactly. And it wasn't, big shit, but it was shit that they were like, this ain't from Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like this, as they start carbon dating and start realizing and they matching it up with stuff of the time, and they're like, this is not this, there's no way that this came from here. It's too old. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too old. Not just that it's too old, it's fashioned, the way it's formed. This isn't how we do it. And they was all flabbergasted that this proves that we was part of something else, and this is some of the remnants that's left of what we used to be, type of thing.
Precisely.
But it's getting late, my brother. Let's wrap it up. We're gonna do one last one. So after everything we seen in season 2, who is the real villain? Is it Kronos, the Olympian gods, or the endless cycle of betrayal that begins generations before Zeus was even born?
The generational stuff that happens before Zeus is born is definitely I would have to say that 100%, because everything just keeps cycling over and over and over, and without that you wouldn't get it. But that's
And
my perception.
no, and that's a fact. I would have to agree with you. And it's funny because you mentioned it at the beginning of the conversation that it's basically generational. It's something that,
Generational curse, yeah, like it's
yeah,
just
that
the
is
fathers,
locked
the
in.
parents. Yeah, it's
It's
gonna
locked
happen no
in, and
matter
they
what.
can't. Yeah, and they can't. Like Zeus would have literally had to figure out a different way, tickle his father or some some non-aggressive way to stop that cycle. But he just wrapped it up. He kept going. He literally did what Uranus originally told Kronos was going to happen,
Yep,
while Kronos was doing what what Uranus said was going to happen to him, literally.
he sure did. It was all for his mama.
So overall, was the season a go? Was it a win for you?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it better than last season, to be honest.
I would agree. I felt that they put a little more effort into it. I guess when they did season 1, they realized the movies was trash.
For sure. Hell yeah, for sure.
So we just got to do better than the movies. You know what I'm saying? As long as we do better than the movies, we winning. And then after doing that first season, and they was like, all right, we did okay, but we probably could do better. And then that's when they stepped up. So I'm hoping when this next season drop that they really gonna go for the gusto there, and we could. The books are awesome, and I don't know if you went ahead, but as you follow the books, they start connecting to his other series. That seems to be a thing a lot of authors are doing now. And I find that awesome when you start reading one thing and it connects to something totally different.
I agree.
You know what
I
I'm
actually
saying?
want to. I haven't moved up, so I like to check anything else out. But I'm looking forward to it because remember I asked you not that long ago, like the ones that are out now are there like parts of it, and then you said yeah. So I'm gonna wait, but yeah, I'm interested to read those too to see where they go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of them that connect. And it's funny because you being a mythology head, the way this kid must be like you, brother. He must be a younger version of you because he's a mythology head. So after getting into the Greek, he goes into the Roman. After going into the Roman, he goes into the Egyptian. After going into the Egyptian, this man goes into the Norse. Then freaking it all out and tying all this shit together, he writes a book, or actually it's more than one book, it's like 3. But he writes a little bit of a series that follows a god. I'm not going to say which god just in case you haven't went that far ahead, but
Oh,
follows a
I
god.
have no idea, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it follows a god that for whatever reason was punished by Zeus and lost his godhood. Like Zeus found it funny. Like, you know what? You think you the shit? Live like a human for a while. Let's see how you feel. And which I didn't even realize Zeus was that powerful to be able to like ungod a god. You know what I'm saying? Like
That sounds like Helios or Apollo or
good
one.
job. It was Apollo. So wait, is that a real myth?
Yeah, he stripped him for man. I want to. He did something. He crossed a line of some sort. So he stripped him from his godhood and put him on made him mortal. Made him live with a mortal king or something like that.
Yeah, he literally that well, he gets to that point too. And for this, the way it breaks out is for him to try to get his godhood or get his glory to be divine again. He has to go to these demigods that we see from these other stories to help him. You know what I'm saying? To like fulfill a
Yeah,
prophecy that he gave when he was divine to become divine. Like it's bugged out the way it all connects together. But if you choose, we can always delve into the book stories. You know, we do that other joint with the book, so
yeah, that would be dope. I'm down for that for sure.
you know what
I
I'm
like all that
saying.
stuff.
But like I said, we've been rocking for over 3 hours, my brother. So this is, I think, the time we're gonna wrap it up. Rappity rap rap. Next Tuesday we rocking on the Midnight Lore, so we're gonna do that next book. Hopefully you reading that. Actually, it's actually one of the better books in the series. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how deep you are into it right now, but it's uh it's actually pretty interesting because it follows a fallen warrior of good. You know what I'm saying? That's deep. When you're a warrior of good and you've seen so much fucked up shit that you just like, it's not even worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not
Yeah,
even worth it. It reminds me actually of Homie from The Matrix. When he was fighting with Neo and them and Morpheus for so long, this motherfucker went to the enemy like, yo, I just want to get back in. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care that you're using me as a battery, man. I don't want to live in this world no more. I want to go back in. I remember he was telling him, I want to eat steaks like this. I don't
yeah.
care that this shit ain't real. Right now,
I want to remember nothing.
you know what I'm saying? He's like, right now, this shit tastes delicious. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I want to wake up and not remember nothing. Exactly. And it's crazy, but he betrayed everything that he was fighting for, all to just forget that shit and go back in and be a battery and whatever. That shit is bugged the fuck out.
Yep, that was Judas.
Yes, yes, yes. But if you think about it, that's a deep thing right there. Your man, Judas was a little more gangster though. Judas was trying to get that coin. He was that. That's why at the end they all say what he hanged himself and his coins was still there, like, and his
Yeah,
coins was cursed and all type of shit. But that's why, because he was doing it for the coin. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yep.
saying?
But in the Matrix, it was more of a symbolism of Judas betraying the Christ consciousness, which would be Neo,
Yo,
Neo,
yes,
and then
yes,
John the Baptist would be Morpheus, and then you had Mary Magdalene, which was Trinity.
yes, yes. I can see that
But
also.
it's all in like I guess artificial technological sense of it as
Yes,
opposed.
but it just bugged me out the fact that he did that just to get back in. He wanted to forget the bullshit. He was tired of eating gruel. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was tired of coming in to save people and seeing what he remembered as a beautiful world, knowing that shit wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? He was tired of all that. He wanted to wake up again in this world and forget anything that he seen that was real. He wanted to be in this dream again. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah, but
crazy that you think about some of these cities, like I'm in New York, I think you in Chicago or something by Chicago.
yeah.
These are some fucked up cities, brother. And for
Hmm.
that to be the dream, you know what I'm saying? So how fucked up would the real world be if that's the dream?
Exactly.
Do
Really.
you think that
I
would
saw
be
the
the case?
machine.
No, I'm saying, but do you think that would be the case if we was able to unlock the pineal, the third eye, that when we see the real world is actually fucked up with
No.
with all type of ghouls and demons and all type of shit?
That's the only thing that you'll perceive and see that's fucked up, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad as people may think. It really isn't. It's just the stuff that we're unfamiliar with that couldn't be a little, I guess, upsetting at first.
All right, that's crazy. But like I was saying, so yeah, we got the Midnight Lore coming Tuesday, and then next week, Well, season 3 hasn't dropped of this yet, so we can't really break nothing down with that. But we can either start doing American Gods, maybe if you want, or Sandman. It's up to you which way you want to go with it.
And either one is good for me. Which one do you want to start off with? I'm good with both.
Well, you
You
know
want to go in
what?
alphabetical order with American Gods, or you want to go Sandman? I've seen
Well,
them both.
I was gonna say while I've seen them both, I actually read the books of American Gods, so at least I got a little more insight on that one. So I guess we can go that way first if you don't mind.
Perfect. Yeah, we could do that. Sounds good. Let's do that. You want to do that next Thursday? I mean, the following? The
Yeah,
one after that? All
yeah,
right,
I would
cool.
say the one after that to give us a little time, I guess. Maybe next Thursday we do some gaming or something.
Sounds good.
All right. But thank you again, my brother, for rocking with me. It's always a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
And let's click it off. Thank you for people in the chat coming and rocking with us. Anybody viewing, thank you for rocking with us. And we hope to see you next time on Legends Behind the Lens.
Whisper, shout. Lights on, channel 9. Reviews, fights, dragons, high. And the luna di esta dura, comenzamos por oscura. I roll it up loud, pages flip like thunder. Comic book stack, got the heat, no blunder. Breaking down shows, yeah, movies get sliced. Crits on the mic like I'm rolling all dice. Lighting up green while the panels ignite. Superhero smoke, blow clouds in the night. Dungeon to the dragon, I'm the boss, that's fact. Got merch on the table, put the gold in the sack. 5150, I'm spitting reviews. TV, books, anime, drop all the news. Smash cut, fight scene, blood in the frame. Every bar hits like a boss fight game. Cinematic flow, keep the blade in the sheath. Light sparks flash, got the flame in my teeth. I curse, I rip, his channel's grown. Adult vibes only, yeah, I claim that throne. Adult vibes only, yeah, I claim that throne. En la mesa, dragones y dados. Crítico fuerte, los golpes son bravos. Humo en el aire, blunt encendido. Cultura mezclada, yo nunca me olvido. Comics y series, yo vendo mi merch. Todo el canal con la vibra de church. Luces brillando, reseñas al 100. El club explotando, lo canto también. Series y libros, reviews con poder. Películas caen, las pongo a perder. Dragones rugiendo, la mesa encendida. Dungeons and Dragons, me cambio la vida. Back to the fight, old school, new flame. Anime clash while I'm calling the game. Weed smoke rise and the neon is lit. Review every saga, I'm dropping that hit. Sword to the fist and the fist to the mic. Light up the channel, we ride every night. Adult in the booth, yeah, curse what I choose. I don't play safe, I break all the rules. Roll the dice, like the blood hit the stage. As críticos locos soltando la rage. Coming to the movie reviews on fire. El club encendido, subiendo más higher. Light it up, and the low, Brandon never dies, vámonos.